suing her ex-boyfriend's brother, Cleefers McCowan Jr., for personal property and filing a false police report.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 2143, Simpsons versus McCowan Jr.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Simpson, you lived with Mr. McGowan for, looks like 7 years is what you said.
Yes, ma'am. It was off and on.
What do you mean off and on?
Well, I had another residence as well.
Okay.
And
it's going to get more complicated, I see, than less complicated. You lived off and on, according to you, with the defendant's brother, who is now deceased. Yes. It is your claim at one point in your papers that you and the defendant's brother were married.
Yes, ma'am.
He passed away.
Yes, ma'am.
And it is your claim that the defendant owes you money. He was the executor of the estate, and he owes you money for property that he took from the house and for filing a false police report against you, I assume indicating that you took things from the house.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. McGowan says that you and his brother were never married, while he indicates in his papers there might have been some sort of ceremony of marriage.
Yes.
That his brother somehow must have told him that he never filed the marriage license, so the marriage was never valid.
That's correct.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Well, let's go to that for a moment.
Yes.
It's sort of curious and takes me back to law school days. And believe me, that really tests my memory. Were you at the ceremony where your brother married the plaintiff?
No, ma'am, I was not.
When did your brother tell you that there was a marriage ceremony?
I probably heard it just throughout life.
You mean throughout life for how long?
From the time that he had any dealings with her.
So about 7 years ago?
Yes, ma'am.
So you asked your brother whether he was married?
Yes.
How long ago was this?
I would say 4 years ago.
Okay, so 4 years ago, you say to your brother, I understand that you, what's your first name?
Mona.
Mona got married.
Well, so he gave me an insurance document, and I was like, wow, what's going on? What about all this?
He gave you an insurance document that said what?
From the VA indicating that I was going to be the person that gets the money upon if he demise.
If he died,
right? And
you had a VA insurance policy.
Yes, ma'am.
With you as the beneficiary.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so he showed you the insurance policy.
Well, he sent it to me in the mail.
Okay, and
email or electronic. And so I said, wow, what's going on? So then I started to ask different questions, and he said, well, don't worry about that. We're not legally married.
No, you have to tell me. I said to him.
I said to him, so doesn't your wife
Isn't she the beneficiary?
I don't want to be involved in all this.
Right.
And he said, I am not married. We went through a ceremony, and you have 10 days to file the
marriage license.
The marriage license in Las Vegas.
Okay.
To solidify the marriage. And then he said, I never filed it. We are not married.
May I?
Just a second. Did your brother tell you that he had ever told Ms. Simpson that he never filed the marriage license?
No, we never had that conversation.
Okay, well, because you say in your answer, sir, that my brother was too smart for that, he never mailed in the license.
Well, he told me because there was a problem between these two. And so we talked about that, and he said, no, I'm not married to her. And he said, you have to file the document, and I never filed the document. And I have a copy of that right here.
Ms. Simpson,
yes, ma'am.
Tell me when this ceremony took place in Las Vegas.
April 2013.
Did you travel there with Mr. McGowan?
Yes, ma'am. We moved to Vegas together.
Who was at the ceremony?
It was no ceremony. What happened was I don't know what this is. What happened was we went to the Justice of the Peace, and the 10 days is not acronym.
No, don't.
I apologize.
Don't tell me.
We had 1 year to go to like a pastor or minister or something like that because we just went to the Justice of the Peace in Vegas. They give you a year to do it, whereas it's, I guess, what I think the term is officiant or something. Officiant has to do it so you can become married permanently.
So you knew that you were not legally married?
Well, it was legal, but it would be official if you don't do another step within a year. And
I understand that, but you never did the other step.
We didn't, only because he was sick, ma'am.
I don't care what the reason was. I don't care if he was watching Yellowstone or because it doesn't matter why.
I respect that.
What? You can get hooked on that.
Oh, yeah.
I understand.
So
no,
I don't care what the reason
right.
is. You knew that your marriage, because it wasn't confirmed, according to you, within a year that you weren't legally married.
Yes, ma'am. And that
okay, just a second. That's all I want to know. That makes my life much easier. Because, Mr. McGowan, I want you to listen to me very carefully. Under what you told me, under the events that you told me, you should have kept your mouth shut.
No, it's okay.
No.
It's going to be okay in the end. It's going to make a lot of sense in the end.
No, I understand that it's going to make a lot of sense to me. We're going to follow the money. But I just want to tell you and the people who are watching this that when I thought about your answer, that you said your brother was too smart and didn't file the necessary document within 10 days, my view of that scenario was that she could still consider herself his wife. Because if he fraudulently, in an attempt to deceive her, didn't mail the marriage license in, she would be the beneficiary. I'm just letting you know that. You understand what I just said?
Yes, ma'am.
Because he committed a fraud on her. He would have committed a fraud, your brother, on her into leading her to believe that they were a married couple and they had the responsibilities and the benefits of a married couple. But she says she volunteered that she knew they weren't married.
Yeah.
So I don't even have to address that.
And it's okay.
Just a second. I know where I'm coming from.
Okay.
So Mr. McGowan, the person that you were involved in for a period of years, on and off, you had your own place, but he was ill for a certain period of time. Was your brother ill?
No, ma'am.
No. Just a second. He says no. You say he was ill for a great portion of that time.
Met him.
Shh. Just a second. For a great portion of that time. And that you were his caregiver.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were paid as his caregiver by the government.
The VA, yes, ma'am.
By the VA, to be his caregiver.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that would be inconsistent with being his wife, to be his caregiver. Because if you're a wife, you don't get benefits from the VA. If you are a non-relative and caring for somebody who requires assistance, you may get assistance. And how much was the VA? Just answer my question.
Yes,
this is not my first rodeo.
Okay, I understand.
How much was the VA paying you a month to take care of, what was your brother's first name?
Marcus.
How much were you being paid to take care of Marcus? Because you say that one check you didn't get because of him. It's part of your lawsuit, so you know exactly how much you were paid.
Ma'am.
How much?
$2,057.55.
A month.
Yes,
and when
ma'am.
did you start collecting that?
2014.
Woo! You are a legal stranger, so you must have filled out forms to say that you were married.
No, I was considered a family member. I was no longer considered the wife, but I was considered...
Well, you're not no longer. You were never his wife.
Ramona Simpson claims her ex-boyfriend's brother, Cleefers McCowan Jr., threw out her personal belongings. Cleefers is countersuing for damage and stolen property.
Okay, so there was a reason why you didn't continue to solemnize the marriage ceremony that you went through in 2013, because you started to collect $2,000 a month from the VA in 2014 that you couldn't have collected were you his wife. That's a yes.
No, it isn't, ma'am.
Oh.
Receiving the benefits from the VA, you have to be a family member. You have to be related to that person in order to get this stipend pay. It wasn't a regular VA payment, and it's for relatives. You have to be a relative for that veteran.
What are you getting? Oh,
Yes, it's true.
Check that,
Full
Sarah.
of stipend pay for the VA, because we're both disabled veterans. It's not like I just had to do this. I loved him, and I care for him, and he was sick the day I met him.
Just a minute, you both disabled veterans?
Well, my disability was not as crucial as his was.
How much do you collect?
I very minimum, because
I asked you a
30%.
question. That's a very minimum.
Yes.
It's not a number.
Yes, it's $300 and some change. But the thing is, Your Honor, may I speak, please? He was sick from the day that I met him, and I was taking care of him prior for that. This was his idea. because he was familiar with the veterans and the system. This was his idea that we can receive funds, and it stayed right in the household. We were living together. It was stayed in the household, and that's okay with them.
I thought you told me a moment ago that you had your own place.
No, not then, ma'am. Not then when we moved back from Vegas, because we stayed in Vegas for approximately 3 years. When we moved back from Vegas, he had purchased a home and everything, and it was supposed to be okay. We were going to be together. But he started living another alternate life, which he was very familiar with because he's introduced him to so many people. I don't even care about that. I still continue to take care of Marcus. It was no longer a romantic situation.
Now you still continue, you had your own place.
I lived both places because he needed me more there than he did when we was living together.
What kind of alternative lifestyle was he doing that he needed you there part-time?
He was seeing other people and
he was
stuff like
seeing
that.
women.
Pardon me?
He was seeing other women.
He was seeing other people, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so he was seeing other people. But you, let me finish.
Yes, ma'am.
But you continued to receive the $2,057. You knew you weren't married. That money was coming directly to you. It wasn't coming to him.
Well,
it was coming to you. At what address?
He was giving me a portion from his bank account, and then when we discontinued everything, there was nothing physical. Then I was receiving my full allotment at that point, but I was still taking care of him, taking him to the VA, taking him to the hospital.
Wait just a second. I don't care. Don't go like this and like this. He's a legal stranger to you, and you're getting $2,000 a month to take him to the VA.
Ma'am, he was not a legal stranger.
He was a legal stranger to you. Legal. He was not your mother, father, brother, sister, or husband.
Ma'am, he was a dear friend of me. He continued to be a friend, honestly.
Well,
and he knows that. We went to several places together.
I'm setting up for myself what is the actuality of the situation. Now, I understand that I was really not prepared for this scenario. I was prepared for somebody, quite frankly, Miss Simpson, who had been defrauded by his deceased brother into believing they were married. She took care of him when he was sick. And all of a sudden, now that he's deceased, his brother comes in, kicks her out of the house, and takes all of his property. That's the scenario. But now I understand that that is not the case, that you knew you weren't married, that for 8 years you collected $2,000 a month for taking him to the doctor's offices, to the vet, to taking care of him in the house, but you understood that he was seeing other people, that you didn't have an exclusive relationship. Now I understand it. And you did receive a certain benefit from that because when you moved back from Vegas, you went to your own place because he was having an alternative life that had nothing to do with you. At that point, was the money going to his bank account or yours?
It was going to his bank account, ma'am.
Okay. Well, you say that he notified the government. Part of your lawsuit is for 1 month's check that you say, or 2 months that you didn't get. And you say you didn't get it because he notified the VA or somebody notified the VA. I don't care who notified the VA. What I want to know is, with those checks immediately preceding Mr. McGowan's death, going into his bank account or yours that he had?
His. It was going into Marcus's bank account.
Okay, and he was giving you money from that bank account?
Prior to his death, yes, ma'am.
Right up to the time he got sick and died?
Yeah.
Okay,
yes,
and how much would he give you?
He would have given me $2,057. $2,000.
All right.
No,
okay,
you mean total?
No,
I'm sorry.
No. I get it. It was not what I thought, but I get it.
Ma'am, may I please say
money owed
something?
for the return of property. What property?
The property, which is my funds. I have jewelry that was missing and clothing that I never received because he kicked out his niece and boarded up the house.
Just a second. Was your brother taken to the hospital?
Yes, ma'am.
On what date?
28th of August, 2021.
Okay.
He was nowhere to be found.
Just what?
He wasn't around.
Just a second.
I did that.
Just a second. Did you take him to the hospital?
I had his daughter to call an ambulance. I got to Marcus's house, and I followed him to the hospital. Yes, ma'am.
Hey, well, you want to just answer my question? I actually understand the whole scenario. You understand that I do understand the money part. I get it. So when you say his daughter called the ambulance and you got over there from your house?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And who do you live with there?
My daughter and my son.
And in whose name is the lease?
My daughters, my son, and myself.
So all three are on the lease?
Yes, ma'am.
And how long have you had a lease at that address?
2017.
Okay. So we're talking about 5 years that you've had an alternative address. You have an answer for me?
There is a Veterans Affairs program of comprehensive assistance for family caregivers. It says $2,800 a month, but based on a fee schedule that can change. So the 2057 fits within the range.
And does it define family members?
It doesn't define the family caregiver, only that the VA may appoint someone who's part of the primary family caregivers to the veteran, but it doesn't identify who qualifies as a family caregiver.
As a family caregiver. And that's the act that you were under. But you were not a member of his family.
Yes, ma'am.
You were not a member of his family.
Well, it
Not
goes
a well.
further than that.
Not a well. This is not a well. You're living with your daughter, your son, on a lease since 2017. You know he's got an alternative lifestyle that has absolutely nothing to do with you. He was giving you the $2,000 a month. I don't know why. I don't even have to get into
Right,
that.
ma'am,
But
it's
you
up
were
to
not
that individual,
But you
ma'am.
were not a family member. If this is for
It
family,
does go to the veteran to then give the family caregiver, though.
okay, but you are a legal stranger to him. So you must have filled out forms to say that you were married.
No, it's up to that. It's up to that individual, the veteran, and I know how the procedure goes. It's up to that individual. I was considered a family member. I was no longer considered the wife, but I was considered.
Well, you're not no longer. You were never his wife. So if
I'm
he filled out a
I'm
form
okay
and he's
with that, ma'am, because I could have
Okay, so
went
he had the
further.
right. You were never his wife. He had the right to board up the house, whichever it is, and you weren't living there for 5 years. You had a place. So if you had clothes there and your jewelry, what were your clothes and your jewelry there? If he was
Because
fooling around with other women, why would you leave your clothes and your jewelry in the house?
Okay, ma'am. The thing is, no one has came to the home as another woman in that home. I was always there. He has no proof or evidence that I was not there. So basically, I had their clothes there because I stayed there. I lived there.
Forget it. You were more than compensated with $2,000 a month. What's next? I don't believe that you leave any valuable jewelry at his house.
I was there most of the time,
Well,
honestly.
You don't need valuable jewelry if you're taking care of a sick person.
Ramona Simpson is accusing defendant Cleefers McCowan Jr. of throwing out her personal belongings.
Okay. Do you have any of her property?
No, ma'am.
Did you dispose of any of her property?
I didn't. She had no property
Just
there.
a second. I don't believe she had any property there either. Anything of value.
And I did.
Okay.
Can I?
Excuse me.
I did find what the VA considers a caregiver. So if you're a spouse, son, daughter, parent, step-family member, or extended family member of a veteran, or if you live full-time with them, or if you're willing to live full-time with them if they designate you as the family caregiver.
So technically,
If you're
the
willing to
end-
live with the veteran full-time, you could be qualified as a family caregiver, but it's up to the veteran to declare their own family
caregiver, if you live there full time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she stated if you were willing to, and I was always willing to.
Okay.
And because
Good. I don't feel as if you were shortchanged, madam, at all. And I don't believe that you had anything of value in the house. So your case is dismissed. Now we're going to get to the second part of your claim. You say she took property from the house?
Yes, ma'am.
What property?
She took jewelry, guns.
What jewelry?
Chains, rings, cufflinks,
Show me.
entire.
Show me. How am I going to figure that out? You have photographs of things?
Yes, I
that you-
have some photographs here.
this is so sad.
It's so sad you have to put a period and end it. He had a good thing going for 9 years.
Ma'am, the money was paid in the arrears, first of all. So me not getting paid for, and this is really not a big issue to me, what he's saying, because they're all lies, and I'll tell you the truth.
Just say,
But it was-
I'm not
okay.
saying anything, madam. All I'm
okay.
saying is you have no case, because I don't believe that somebody who lived in a lifestyle,
Ma'am,
as
I'm
you've
talking about
described,
Can you talk to my witness, ma'am?
as you've described to me, which is you have your own home, where you're on a lease since 2017, where you said to me he had an alternative lifestyle, but I still took him to his VA appointments. I took him, and I was his caregiver, but I lived with my daughter and my son. I don't believe that you leave any valuable jewelry at his house.
I was there most of the time,
Well,
honestly.
You don't need valuable jewelry if you're taking care of a sick person.
But
Can I
what
see?
I was stating was also friends,
I've,
ma'am.
I've decided your case.
I respect that.
This is just what had happened to looking for everything that was taken in there.
I don't care. Who cares? What are you showing me? You're showing me that the place is a mess, that somebody went through it?
I'm showing you
I don't
what.
care.
Okay.
I don't care. Prior to his death, when had you seen your brother last?
I had seen him about 5 days prior to that.
You live close by?
I was living in San Diego at the time, and he lived in Highland, which is 79 miles up the 15 freeway.
Okay, so 5 days prior to the 5 days prior that you saw your brother, when had you seen him before?
We see each other quite frequently. We have family barbecues, this, that, and the other. I'm retired. I go.
Okay, would you return these to him? These don't show me any jewelry.
Okay.
It shows me that the house looked like it was picked through.
Okay. Thank you.
What else?
So quite
That's
frequently.
it. That's it. Did you get a VA benefit from your brother for his insurance
From
policy?
the life insurance
Yeah,
policy.
that's from the VA.
Yes, ma'am.
And how much did you receive?
$2,600.
Who paid for his funeral?
I did.
How much was that?
11 or 1,200.
So you took some of the insurance money and paid for it?
Yes.
Did he have any other valuable asset?
He had quite a bit of stuff. It's in probate as we speak.
Oh, so case is in probate
It's in
now.
probate right now as we speak.
Oh, great. So I don't have to deal with it. Your case is dismissed. We're done. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
You know what? I have a lot of respect for the judge, but she didn't listen to me.
Well, I'm happy that the judge made the decision that she made.
He's a habitual liar.
Thief. My brother died, and within a half a day went over and burglarized the house.
This is something that he can laugh about, and he's going to go and tell the whole world that I'm still a liar. I'm still a this, that, and the other.
There is quite a bit of items that belong to me that this person stole.
That you can love someone and not be married to them. You can help someone and not be married to them and making love to them. I was genuinely there to help Marcus because I love Marcus.
The devil. I don't want the devil, the devil.
He barred me from the funeral. I didn't fight it because the respect I have for his family and for Marcus. I could have went there. No. I said, you know what? I won't be there.
I hope that she crawls back in the rat hole she came out of and does whatever she does.
You know what was interesting in that case, Sarah? When I read the complaint and the answer, I had a whole different vision.
Me too.
Of what the arrangement was. And based upon what the defendant wrote in his answer, that his brother, with regard to the marriage, to his brother telling him, I'm too smart, I didn't mail in the papers.
Read like fraud a little bit.
Right.
But she was in on it. She knew. She didn't complete the steps.
She didn't complete the step for a different reason,
Sure.
but she knew
That they weren't legally married.
that they weren't legally
Which
married.
changes the whole game from a legal perspective.
Right. Certainly the fact that the case is currently in probate made my life
Little easier.
a lot easier. Anyway, it should be a warning signal when you get married out there, folks, and you have a marriage license, because I performed enough weddings to know you have to seal it, sign it, put a stamp on it, and usually put it in the mail within 3 days of the ceremony. So brides and grooms, make sure you put it in the mail together, or watch the officiant put it in the mail.
Melissa Duran is suing her former property manager, Tracy Shaw, for wrongful eviction and an assault.
Court come to order. All rise.
Be seated, please.
Case 2097, Duran versus Shaw.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Duran, the defendant is the property manager at a place where you used to live.
Yes.
And you are suing her for evicting you from that place. You want a whole bunch of money. You're suing her for $10,000 for your moving expenses, for assault, for emotional distress because you had to move. Ms. Shaw says that your behavior caused you to be evicted. You violated the rules, and that's why you were served notice of eviction. So first, let me know when you started living at the property that is managed by the defendant.
In 2019.
Did you have a lease?
Yes, I did.
Do you have a copy of that lease with
Yes,
you?
I do.
I'd like to take a look at it. Okay, so this initial lease was August of 2019, and it terminated on July 31st, 2020. It provided for 3 people to live in the apartment. Okay, and was the lease renewed?
Nope.
Okay, and so then you became a month-to-month tenant?
Yes.
And that was in February of 2020.
They also increased the rent.
That's okay. They're allowed to do that. That's a business.
I know.
They're allowed to do that. When your lease was extended on a month-to-month basis after February of 2020, would you tell me if the same people lived in the apartment as were on the original lease?
No.
So more people moved in?
Yes.
Who?
That would be my sisters and my mother.
Sisters?
Yes.
2 sisters?
Yes.
And when did they move in?
Maybe about, maybe 2020, maybe? Couldn't really be positive.
So that would have been in violation of your original lease?
Yes.
And it was an apartment that you were
Yes.
renting. And the apartment complex has a pool.
Yes, it does.
And the incident around, circumstances surrounding this eviction that was served on you, that happened in what month and year?
It was in June of this year.
How long, Ms. Shaw, have you been the property manager?
Since the end of November of last year.
November of 2021?
Yes.
And in November of 2021, did you know that there were additional people living in the house?
Yes.
And didn't tell her that they had to vacate, that it was in violation of the terms of her underlying lease?
I had that morning, actually, when the confrontation happened.
No,
I
I'm
had
talking
just-
about, pay attention. My question was, did you register any complaint with the plaintiff about the additional people living there? Be very careful that you tell me the truth, because I know that you think you may know where I'm going, but you don't. Did you make any complaint to her November, December, January, February, March, April, or May? The answer is either yes or no about the other people living in the house.
No.
So I guess I'm going to start with you, because an incident occurred that resulted in her being evicted, that you serving her with a notice of eviction.
Right.
Tell me when that took place, because I have to know what your reason was. That's a fair statement.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
So in June 22, like I said, that morning I had served them
What
that
morning?
week. June 21st or something, I believe.
What kind of letter were you serving on her?
I just gave them, mine is, it's just a complaint notice, you know, saying that.
Do you have a copy of that?
I may.
Do you know what she's talking about?
Yes, I have a copy.
I'd like to see it.
There you go.
Okay, well, this is a letter that says you and your company were eating and drinking in the pool area. Even after I told them to stop, that it wasn't allowed, they did not stop. And there is absolutely no eating or drinking in the pool area. Okay, so that's the letter she
Yes.
served to you. And that was on June 21st.
That's the letter she
Now,
threw
who
at
was
me.
eating and drinking in the pool?
That would be my sister.
That wasn't just your sister.
No, it was her and her
No,
friend.
no, just a second. Let's get it together. So your sister, who wasn't supposed to be there, but they sort of let that skate.
Oh, well,
who wasn't
okay.
supposed to be there.
Okay.
Okay, so your sister and who else?
That would be my sister, her boyfriend, and 2 of her friends, or 3 of her friends, I think.
Had they ever been to the pool before?
My sister has, but not her friends.
So the person who wasn't supposed to be living with you, that's your sister,
Yes.
invited her boyfriend and 3 other friends to the pool.
She called and asked if it was okay first.
She asked you.
Yes.
And you said fine.
Yes.
You didn't call the manager.
No.
Okay. And you are aware that there's no eating and drinking in the pool.
That's not what it says on my lease.
Is that what it says at the pool?
Nope.
Does it say anywhere in the house rules?
Nope.
Nope, it's not an answer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The answer is
No.
no.
No, ma'am, it is not.
No. Now, when you've been living there for a long time, do you use the pool?
Yes, I do.
Ever had any trouble in the time from November of last year? Ever had any complaint?
Nope.
Nope is
No,
not an
sorry,
answer.
sorry,
No
I'm
is
sorry.
the answer. No,
Yeah,
no
okay,
complaint.
no, sorry.
Okay. And did you discuss with your sister and her friends that there were any rules that she had to abide by?
No, I did not, because I was not home yet.
Stand up. First name is?
Aaliyah.
You were their boyfriend and 3 girlfriends. Any children?
No.
You know this lady?
Yes.
What happened when she came to tell you that there was no eating or drinking at the pool?
So we were standing.
Just what happened when she told
She
you?
came screaming at us, telling us that we needed to get the food out and that we needed to go.
Get the food out. What kind of food had you
It was
brought
just
in?
pizza and like a soda and water.
So it wasn't a piece of fruit. You were having a meal there, pizza
Yes.
and food. Had you ever seen your sister bring food into the pool area?
Snacks, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not talking about snacks. Did she ever bring food into the pool area?
No.
What prompted you to order food into the pool area?
It was a hot day and we were hungry and I'm not sure.
You asked your sister if it was okay if you and your friends came.
Yes.
Since you never saw anybody, because usually there are signs posted
Yeah.
around a pool. I've lived in enough places to know, and the pool signs usually say no jumping in the pool, no food or drink around the pool, right?
Yes.
Most pools say that.
Yes.
Did this pool say that?
It just said, like you said, no jumping in the pool, no diving, to come into the pool, but it never said nothing about food, drinks, nothing like that.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. So now you please establish to me, Miss Shaw, that there was notice that there was no food and drink at the pool.
Their pool addendum,
May I see?
and then also no guest addendum.
Just a second.
It's all part of their.
Hold on. You're Melissa Duran.
Yes, I am.
And that's your signature?
Yes.
Yes. The pool is reserved exclusively for the use of residents of the building. That's what it says.
Okay.
That's what you signed. No diving in the pool area, no intoxicated persons. Okay. I just want you to show me here, first of all, the only thing that they are violating is that pool is reserved exclusively for the residents of the building. That's in here, but I don't see anything about food.
The new pool addendum wasn't part of their contract. So when we put out the new one, it was for more updated tenants, but we didn't
Just a
serve
second.
them on the
Hers-
food, we served them on the guests.
Is what you're saying to me, the only thing that she signed is this, and there is no sign around the pool that says no eating or drinking.
There is a sign by the pool.
Do you have a copy
I
of it?
don't have a copy of that.
Why not?
I texted her that I was sorry that they had food in the pool, and I did not know that.
So that you knew they weren't supposed to have food in the pool.
Yeah, but I didn't know they bring it. The thing.
Just a second. That's not what I asked you.
Melissa Duran claims her former property manager, Tracy Shaw, owes for a wrongful eviction and an assault.
Okay, go ahead.
Because she had moved in prior to them changing the pool addendum, I posted the new pool addendum on all of the doors. And I have actually text messages of Melissa asking me, can we, the no floaties? And I said, well, of course,
May I?
For children and whatnot, but not big floaties.
Okay.
So she was acknowledging the pool addendum that I had.
That I'll see. Now, she's going to show me your text messages to her.
Yes.
So you received the revised pool rules.
Yes.
And did the new pool rules say anything about guests?
No, it did not.
So if it said nothing about guests, you originally said that the pool is specifically reserved for residents of the complex.
Yes.
And according to you, the new pool rules, do they talk about having floaties in the pool?
Yes, it did.
Did it talk about having guests at the pool?
Yeah, actually it did.
And what did it say?
There was no problem, just like on the original lease. It was
No.
fine to have guests in the pool.
No, that's not what this says. This says that the pool is reserved for residents of the building only.
Well, we were already told before that it was fine to have guests.
This is the contract that you signed.
Yes, I
Okay?
understand.
So this is the first one that you signed, this one. And absent anything else, this says no guests at the pool. This says residents only.
Okay.
You say that it was the new rules allow you to have guests, or were they silent?
There was nothing on there saying that you cannot have guests. It was mainly just saying that you cannot have floaties, you cannot jump or run into the pool.
Just a second. Did it say anything about food?
No.
Is there a new sign posted around the pool that talks about food?
No, it does
All I
not.
want to see is, Miss Shaw,
Right.
something in the new rules that talks about food. And I'm getting very bored with this. Now, when Miss Shaw came over and told you couldn't have food, you had to get rid of the food, about what time was that?
Probably like 5, 6. I'm not exactly too sure.
And when had this food and stuff arrived? Was it?
We brought it. We were coming in with the food. We walked in with the food. I'm pretty sure
Just a
she's seen
second.
us.
So you and your group, 5 people, walked in with dinner to the pool area. And did the dinner include any alcoholic beverages like beer?
No.
What kind of drinks were there?
It was Pepsi. It was soda.
And what happened when Miss Shaw came over and told you weren't allowed to have the food at the pool?
She came very aggressively.
She came aggressively and she said you're not allowed.
She stormed out and screamed, get the food out and you guys need to leave.
And so what did you do?
I told her, okay, I'd get the food out, and I made a call to my sister to come help me with the food. And as we were packaging
Where was your sister?
She was upstairs.
So when you came out with the food, you came out of the apartment?
No, we had just gotten there. We were coming from another pool area that wasn't
What other
open.
pool area?
My boyfriend's friend. We were going to swim at his pool, but it wasn't available because there was too many people there.
Were you at your boyfriend's house during the day?
No, I was at school, and they were all at work, so we all just met up after everything.
Okay, so you were asked by Miss Shaw to get the food out, and then you called your sister.
Yes, and I told her.
And then what happened?
And I told her if she could come get the food while we swam, or if not, that we were
Why
going to leave.
didn't you just get out?
Well, because I was trying to help, because we were splitting the check through the money, so we're splitting the pizza, who's getting what, and all of that. And before we even could leave, she stormed out again, screaming, saying, you guys are getting a notice, you guys are getting a notice, and running up the stairs to her, because she was coming out, and she was hey, what's going on? And then she was like, you guys are getting a notice. I'm tired of everybody not listening and coming to me with your problems. And then my sister was like, whoa, hey, relax. I'm coming to get the food. And then she threw the paper and my sister backed up
Okay,
she,
so
went
so the letter, she gave your sister the letter.
It was a notice.
She gave you the paper that said, this is a complaint. There are people in the pool who are eating, drinking. They don't belong here. They're not, whatever. She said, here's your notice.
Yes.
Okay. And that was on the 21st of June. Then what happened?
Well, after she threw the paper at me, she turned back around, still yelling, and she stomped down the stairs, and I'm trying to tell her, you didn't give me time to come and get the food. And she ran back in her apartment and slammed her door.
And she went back to her apartment, and you went where?
Back into my house.
Okay, you went back into your house. And what did you do when you went back into your house?
When I got back there, I texted her, telling her that I was sorry that they had food in the pool, and I did not know that because I did not know at the time.
Just a second. So, Ms. Duran, let's cut to the chase, so that you knew they weren't supposed to have food in the pool, only snacks.
Yeah, but I didn't know they bring it. The thing.
Just a second. That's not what I asked you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You knew that there was no food in the pool, only water and snacks.
Okay, yes.
So you knew that.
Okay, yes.
Okay. Now, if you know that, and you have given, I'm just telling you what the law is. Mm-hmm. If you know that there is a rule, and you don't convey that, that's your problem. Okay?
Okay.
All right, so that's June 21st, when guests that you agreed to have in the pool, you didn't know that there was food there. You knew that there wasn't supposed to be food there. That knowledge is imparted to your guests. That's a legal assumption. I want to know what happened after June 21st. When were you served with a 3-day notice to quit?
I believe it was on the 24th.
I'd like to see it.
Okay. I have 3 of the same. They sent me 3 of them.
I just have to see one. Did the attorney, who you say you gave by a cash app, return any of the money? Okay, well, you served this 3-day notice to quit, Ms. Shaw, and in it, you're alleging threatens to commit a crime. So I assume that the person, it talks about a statement, threatens to commit a crime. I assume that the threat was directed to you. Yes. In any event, you were given a 3-day notice to quit, but actually you managed to get that extended to 30 days.
Yes.
And one of the things that you had to do was to hire an attorney.
Yes.
And when you hired an attorney, did you hire an attorney and pay a retainer?
Oh, yes, I did.
Okay. I'd like to see proof of what you paid the attorney.
I don't think I bring the one that pertained to the lawyer. What I do have is him finding out what the criminal act was.
No. You're a month-to-month tenant.
Yes.
Landlord has a right to give you a 30-day notice and say you have to quit the premises. You have no legal right to be there. My only question is, you were not given 30 days notice. You were given a 3-day notice, and I'm not actually convinced that there was a basis to give you a 3-day notice. If I called him, would he tell me that you paid him $1,200?
Yes, he would. Though I still owe him $250.
So you paid him $950.
Okay, okay.
What do you mean, okay?
Melissa Duran has accused her former property manager, Tracy Shaw, of wrongfully evicting her. Tracy claims Melissa was violating apartment rules.
Now, if you got 30 days, and the reason you got 30 days is because you retained an attorney, I'm prepared to look to see how much you paid the attorney, because that's an expense that you have that you wouldn't have had but for the 3-day notice to quit. They're entitled to tell you to leave. I mean, you're there with too many people living in the apartment. They've already had a kerfuffle because you allowed your sister and her boyfriend and friends to come to the pool. They were told no food. They ignored them. But I don't think any of that rises to the level of grounds to give you a 3-day notice to quit. I think that if they want to tell you that you have to be out in 30 days, that's reasonable, but they didn't. They gave you a 3-day notice forcing you to hire an attorney. I'm prepared to give you the attorney's fees if you prove to me that you paid an attorney.
I do have proof of that, but I do not have it with me.
Okay. And how much did you pay him? That's an easy thing for me to verify.
I believe it was $1,200.
I want you to think about it carefully.
No, it was $1,200 because he had lowered it. He lowered it from $1,400 to $1,200.
And you paid him by check or cash?
I paid him in Cash App. Is the only way I could.
Did he go to court with you?
We haven't. This is the first court we have been to.
So how did he get you 30 days?
Because I got the 3-day notice and it kept saying I committed a criminal act.
Okay,
So that was the reason why I obtained the lawyer, so he can find out what the criminal act was.
And just by phone calls, he got them to extend it to 30 days. So you were never in, and you left after the 30 days.
I left before the 30. I left on August 1st.
Okay. And where did you go?
I had to move all the way to Atwater, California.
Is that where you live now?
Yes, it is.
And who lives with you?
My husband and my young son. That's it, just the 3 of us. We moved into a smaller, more expensive place.
Okay, and you left your sisters?
And my mother.
And your mother?
They are somewhere completely different.
Okay, what do you...
This is in their lease about disturbances and threats.
Listen, I've already made a determination that the 3-day notice should have been a 30-day notice to leave. I don't think that anything that I've heard today rises to the level of giving people who've been in the apartment as long as they had, especially over pizza, requires a 3-day notice. So the only question that I'm entertaining on behalf of the plaintiff and the only monetary award that I'm going to contemplate are attorney's fees. Did the attorney, who you say you gave by a Cash App, return any of the money since he never had to go to court for you?
No, he did not.
Just a second. If I called him right now, would he tell me that you paid him $1,200?
Yes, he would. Yes, he would. Though what I was going to tell you is that I did not have enough to pay him completely. I still owe him $250.
So you didn't pay him. So you paid him $950.
Okay, okay. I'm sorry.
What do you mean,
I
okay?
didn't. No, I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't.
So you paid him $950?
Yes.
I'm awarding you $950, which are your attorney's fees, for the reason that, I'm speaking, for the reasons that I've stated, because they have an absolute right to give you a 30-day notice, tell you to leave, and there was a basis for it, actually. And you know, there was a basis for saying your guests, which is you, are not abiding by the rules. You're a month-to-month tenant. Right now, we do not intend to keep you as a tenant. We're giving you 30 days notice to find another place. I think that would have been absolutely a problem. Speaking would have been absolutely appropriate. I think a 3-day notice to quit was inappropriate given the level of infraction. So I'm awarding you the counsel fees because that's what it took to get you your 30 days. This case is over. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
I'm disappointed in the decision.
Her actions of her aggression, throwing something in my face, that was a little bit excessive.
I don't feel that I got to say more of the story that continued to happen.
Her actions caused me to get evicted in 3 days.
They have bad character, and so I don't think that I owe them anything.
I mean, I didn't think anything like would come to this, you know.
I'm just glad they're gone.
I'm happy to be out because I just really wanted her to be held responsible for what she did.
So a trend I've seen a lot here is plaintiffs suing for wrongful eviction when they're a month-to-month tenant. And for what I've learned in landlord-tenant law in New York, I know it varies a lot from state to state, is the landlord only has to give you as much notice as your term, which if you're a month-to-month tenant would be 30 days. So people have to really understand the legalese of their contract and of their lease, because if you feel like you're being wrongfully evicted as a month-to-month tenant, that's a different standard than if you have a standard year-long written lease.
Well, that's sort of the reason. I didn't think that the one instance that was raised was sufficient to give them a 3-day emergency notice to quit. Might have been enough, that coupled by the fact that there were too many people living in the apartment, to give them a 30-day notice. That is, you're right, it's your property. But I didn't think it rose to the level of a 3-day notice to quit for threats.
I didn't either, so I agreed with your $950 judgment for the attorney's fees.
Would have been happier if she had some sort of a receipt or something from her Cash App, because she very quickly changed the $1,200 to $950.
She was honest.
Lisa Hildreth and Reza Mahasani are suing 20-year-old Jennifer Santiago for medical bills after being hit by a car.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case number 2020, Hildreth Mahasani versus Santiago.
Thank you. Miss Hildreth.
Yes.
Pronounce your last name for me, sir.
Mahasani.
Mahasani.
Yes.
You two were crossing the street in San Diego?
In Carlsbad Village.
Is that in San Diego?
It is. It's a suburb of San Diego.
Is that where you live?
Correct, in Carlsbad.
And you were hit by Miss Santiago, who was driving her mother's car.
Correct.
Miss Santiago acknowledges that she hit you, and you were seriously injured. You've had shoulder surgery. You were both injured.
Correct.
When did this happen?
This happened on Friday, September 4th, 2020.
I just have a couple of preliminary questions before I get into the facts of it.
Sure.
I assume that since this accident happened in 2020, that you tried to sue either the defendant and or her mother as the car's owner.
Well, we would have done so, but the driver was uninsured.
That's the question. You would have done so,
Yes.
except the mother had no insurance.
It is my knowledge that the mother had insurance, but that and which I have the evidence, that her daughter was excluded from the policy.
The policy, and therefore the insurance company disclaimed.
Correct.
I'd like to see that.
Absolutely.
That's why your mother's not here.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, that's why your mother's not here, Miss Santiago.
Without her knowing.
Miss Santiago, that's why your mother's not here.
No.
Well, were you excluded from the insurance policy? That's either a yes or a no.
Yes.
Then you shouldn't have been driving the car.
Yeah, I know.
Just a second. Then you
I
shouldn't
know.
have been driving the car.
I took the car.
I don't want to
knowing
hear
that-
I don't want to hear some pat answer from you. Do you understand? That's why your mother's not here.
Well, it was
I didn't ask
my
you a question.
responsibility,
I
and
didn't
I took
ask
the car
you.
without
Do you
her
understand?
permission.
They don't listen to you when I'm speaking. When I ask you a question, you'll answer me. I don't want to hear some pat answer. I want to hear a lot of I'm sorries. I want to hear a lot of I'm sorries.
Why would I say I'm sorry if they didn't pay attention when they were crossing?
You weren't supposed to be behind the wheel of a car.
Well, I was paying
You
attention.
weren't supposed to be behind the wheel of a car.
But why they didn't pay attention?
I'm not speaking to you. I just told you why. Why should I
There
say
was
I'm
no
sorry?
lights
Hey,
flashing.
be quiet. Why should I say I'm sorry if they weren't paying attention? Because you weren't supposed to be behind the wheel of a car. If you weren't behind the wheel of a car, whether they were paying attention or not would be irrelevant. You weren't supposed to be driving. She thinks you have a big mouth. You don't have a bigger mouth than me, madam. I guarantee you, the last person who drove yesterday that wasn't supposed to drive yesterday because they were drunk. Killed
was not
6.
drunk.
Nobody's listening to you. When I'm speaking, nobody's listening to you. Killed 6 people. Last person who drove that wasn't supposed to be behind the wheel of a car killed 6 people. You were not.
I was
Hey,
drunk.
I'm speaking. You were not supposed to be behind the wheel of a car. Don't you understand that?
I understand
Are you
that.
stupid?
I'm not.
You were not supposed to be behind the wheel of a car. You were an excluded driver, and you were an excluded driver for a reason.
Not only that, Your
Now,
Honor.
just a second. Don't speak. Now I'm going to read and calm myself down. I don't like my blood pressure to get too high. I just don't like stupid. Our investigation, which is after you notified the insurance company,
Correct.
determined that the driver of the insured's car, Jennifer Ramirez, was not covered by the policy. That's what you're telling me.
Correct.
I don't understand this. You were walking, correct?
Correct. Both.
What is this? Your driving privileges will be suspended on November 21st. What is that?
I think there was a misunderstanding that we were actually driving a vehicle. And when I called the DMV and I explained that, no, we're actually pedestrians, then they said, oh, I'm sorry, disregard that.
Yeah.
Stupid.
And it's,
Do you have a letter from them indicating that this is wrong?
They just told me that we can disregard it, and they just corrected it. That's all they did.
And
Can I
it
say
was
something?
stopped because she was also unlicensed?
Just a second. I'm not there yet.
Okay.
I'm not there with Big Mouth. Okay, this happened on September 4th, 2020. What time of the day?
It was in the evening. It
What time?
was about 8 p.m.
It was, around 8 o'clock.
Light or dark outside?
Dark.
Is that a fair and accurate representation of
It is.
the intersection where this happened?
It is, Your Honor.
Ms. Santiago, is that a fair and accurate representation of the intersection where this happened?
Yes.
So at the intersection where this happened, there were lines across the highway indicating pedestrian walkway.
Correct.
And there were 2 signs indicating pedestrian walkway.
There were 3 signs. One in the center median and one on each side.
On September 4th, Ms. Santiago, this requires a yes or a no answer from you. On September the 4th, 2020, did you have a valid driver's license? What happened when she hit?
if you guys
Don't!
were
Don't!
looking,
Hey! Don't
wait till
speak!
you guys
Hey!
cross,
Listen,
or you
for
were paying
someone
attention.
who can't take and pass a driver's test 3 times, at least I would keep my mouth shut.
Lisa Hildreth and Reza Mahasani claim 20-year-old Jennifer Santiago struck them in a crosswalk while she was driving without a license. Jennifer says they were not paying attention and walked into oncoming traffic.
Now, on September 4th, Ms. Santiago, this requires a yes or a no answer from you. On September the 4th, 2020, did you have a valid driver's license?
I didn't, Your Honor.
I said it's either a yes or a no. Did you have a valid driver's license?
No.
Did you ever have a valid driver's license?
No.
Do you have a valid driver's license today?
No, Your Honor, because they...
That's a no. What's your name?
Vanessa,
What?
Giles,
Stand up. Did you come with her today?
yes,
How did you get here?
I drove. My license,
Just a second. You drove.
yes.
In whose car?
My car,
What kind of car is it?
Kia,
Did you ever drive with Miss Santiago?
yes.
When? Did you ever drive in a car where she was the driver and you were the passenger?
Yes.
When?
Yeah. September 4th, 2020, 2 years
Other than
ago.
September 4th, 2020, did you ever drive with Miss Santiago where you were the passenger?
Yes,
When?
September 4th.
I said other than
Other
September
than that,
4th.
no.
Other than September 4th.
Other than that, no.
On September 4th at 7 p.m., 7 p.m., where were you?
We were at the beach, Carlsbad Beach.
Sure, you were at the beach. Who else was at the beach?
Santiago and another friend. He's a minor. He's 16.
There were 3 of you at the
yes.
beach. Anybody else that you knew at the beach?
No.
How long had you been at the beach?
Like for an hour.
So you got there at 6 o'clock in the evening.
We got there at 7. We were going back home at 8.
So you got to the beach at 7. What did you do at the beach at 7 o'clock?
We were just sitting there, eating, relaxing, having a good time, as teenagers that we were.
Now, did Miss Santiago pick you up, or did you meet at her house? Just think, take a breath. Did you meet at her house, or did Miss Santiago pick you up?
She picked me up.
How far do you live from her?
2 minutes away.
And what about the 16-year-old minor?
3 minutes away.
Did she pick up the 16-year-old minor?
Yes.
How old was Miss Santiago in September of 2020?
18.
Are you a good friend of hers?
Yes, I am.
You knew she didn't have a driver's license?
Yes.
Did you know why she didn't have a driver's license?
She was still studying for a test.
Had she taken the test before?
Yes, she has.
She had taken the test before.
Yes.
Do you remember how many times?
Yes.
How many times did she take the test?
2 times.
And the 2 times she took the test, she failed it?
Yes, she did.
Okay. So now she's driving without a license because she's failed her driving test twice at the time of this. So she's studying to pass it maybe for the 3rd time, right?
Yes.
And now we have 2 years later, she still doesn't have a driver's license.
Yes.
Do you know why?
No.
Well, you're her good friend. Didn't you ask her? Well, it's 2 years later. Did you ever pass your driving test?
She hasn't yet.
Sit. Now tell me what happened at 8 o'clock on the 4th of September, 2020.
I have pictures if you like, and would it be okay to approach the screen to show you better?
No, it's not necessary. You were crossing the street.
Correct.
In a crosswalk, she hit you.
Correct. We were.
You
That's
were
what
crossing the
happened.
street in a crosswalk, and she hit you.
Yeah. So we had come to the crosswalk sign on the left side of the photo. We pressed the button. It illuminated the flashing lights to indicate that it was okay to cross. We looked to the left. Those 2 cars were already parked. We proceeded to the middle and noticed that the car furthest, in the furthest lane from us, that car was already parked. So we proceeded, and we were hit.
What happened when
Well,
she
if
hit?
you guys
Don't!
were
Don't!
looking,
Hey! Don't
why did
speak!
you guys
Hey!
cross?
Listen,
Or you
for
were paying
someone
attention?
who can't take and pass a driver's test 3 times, at least I would keep my mouth shut until I look at you for an answer. Do you understand?
Yes.
And it was estimated by the officer that we...
No. She hit you in a crosswalk. That's a crosswalk. This young lady knew I'm not... Did you hear me? I'm not speaking to you. You don't understand this was a really bad day for this kind of case to come into court. You do understand that?
Yes.
Okay, good. And you know why this is a very bad day for your case to come into court?
No.
Then you don't read the newspapers. I suggest if you read the newspaper, maybe you would be able to pass your driving test. Because either you failed the written portion or you failed the driving portion, one or the other. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. Now we understand each other. Now you're almost at I'm sorry. You're almost at I'm sorry. When the defendant's car struck you, where did you land?
I have photos to show.
I'd like to see it.
It kind of shows on the second photo there.
Oh, you hit her windshield. Who hit her windshield?
We
Is that you?
both did, Your Honor. And the hood.
That's not true. I only saw that her husband, that he hit the shield. It wasn't her.
What an idiot. Kevin, I would like you to show Miss Santiago that photograph and this one. Can I see the police report, please?
Sure.
See?
I'd also like you to show her these. I just want her to take a look at them. To know what happens when you act irresponsibly and you do things that you're not supposed to do, like take a car and drive it when you have no license, when you failed your driving test twice. The yellow warning lights next to the crosswalk were flashing.
They were not.
Witness 1 observed plaintiff 1 driving northbound towards the crosswalk at a fast speed. She drove through. I'm speaking, not you.
I was not.
I'm speaking, not you.
Lisa Hildreth and Reza Mahassani are accusing 20-year-old Jennifer Santiago of hitting them in a crosswalk while she was driving without a license.
Okay, your last name is?
Giles?
You spoke to the police that day.
Yes, I did.
I don't know what you're doing here as a witness. She stated she did not see what happened. That's what it says here.
Yeah.
Now, just a second. That's what it says here. Uncross your arms. Now you can sit down. Gillis stated she did not see what happened. However, she identified Ms. Santiago as the driver. And then there was a witness. Witness 1 stated she was riding as a passenger in a vehicle driving northbound on the 3100 block of Carlsbad Boulevard. The two plaintiffs were crossing the road in a marked crosswalk on the south side of the intersection of Carlsbad Boulevard and Oak Avenue. The two were crossing from the west side of the street to the east side of the street. The yellow warning lights next to the crosswalk were flashing.
They were not.
Witness 1 observed plaintiff 1 driving northbound towards the crosswalk at a fast speed. She drove through. I'm speaking, not you.
I was not.
I'm speaking, not you. I'm reading from a statement in the police report from a witness who stopped when this accident happened that you don't know. Neither do you. Okay, so now we have a witness who neither one of you know, who said the yellow lights were flashing. Even if they weren't, there's a crosswalk and there are signs that said pedestrian. But this witness says the lights were flashing. Then the officer who did a blood test there for alcohol states as follows. During the investigation, P1, that would be you, displayed objective symptoms of intoxication. I noticed her eyes were slightly red and watery. Her speech was very quiet. I determined P1 was under the influence of cannabis.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Just a second. Do you have any supplementary police reports?
The only other thing that I have from the officer is an email that he...
No. Okay. An email to whom?
An email from the police officer to us.
I'd like to see it.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what you said to the police officer was, and the police officer responded to you, that the report came back negative.
Correct.
And he said, I'm not changing it. Therefore, it's not a criminal matter. You have to sue her civilly.
Correct.
Because clearly the accident was her fault.
Correct.
Were you taken to the hospital that day?
We both were.
And you were taken to jail?
Yeah.
When was the last time you took a driving test? Month and year?
I haven't taken no driving test.
When was the last time you took a driving test, madam? You failed twice. So I want to know when the last time was that you took a driving test.
I can't remember. It was a long time ago.
Did you take a driving test in the year 2021?
Yeah, I did.
Did you pass that driving test?
No.
Was that your third or fourth driving test?
That was the second.
No, you took two, according to your friend, before 2020.
I know.
So I asked you, in 2021, did you take it? You said yes, you didn't pass it. And I asked you, was that the third or the fourth test that you had?
That was my second.
No. I don't know how much more that a court system can do, but to say to people who don't have driver's licenses, especially in your case where you tried to get a license but failed to pass on at least 2 occasions before this incident, which means that you were a risk to be on the road because you couldn't pass a driving test twice before this incident. Now, you want to tell me whether you, and this requires a short answer, not one of your long ones, did you have your mother's permission to take the car that day to pick her up and go to the beach?
No.
Have you ever had your mother's permission to take the car and go anywhere?
No.
So in effect, if you had no license and you didn't ask for permission, then you stole the car.
No.
What do you mean, no? You
just-
didn't have permission of the owner to take the car. You weren't a licensed driver. Therefore, there was no insurance. Well, let's go back. Did you ever ask your mother to use the car?
No, not at all.
And what happened after you had this accident in your mother's car and after you got out of jail? What happened between you and your mother?
Well, she was sad because I was in jail, and well, she was also mad because, like, why would I take the car without her permission?
Why did you take the car without her permission?
Well, I honestly didn't thought that this would happen.
Nobody thinks that an accident is going to happen. I don't think you intentionally hit these two people.
No.
I don't think you intentionally hit these two people. Are you ready to say I'm very sorry yet?
Yeah, I told them we have talked before, I told them that I was sorry, and I'm telling them again that I'm sorry.
Good. That's better. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $10,000. We're finished.
This court is adjourned.
Well, I'm really pleased with the judge's decision.
I didn't see anything until the guy hit the windshield.
We have a young child, so we understand that the driver was young and mistakes happen.
I started screaming and I was scared.
For about 3 hours in the hospital, I didn't know if she was going to live or die, basically.
I was so scared, like I just stayed there. I was in shock.
It's been rough.
I told them that I was sorry that the accident happened.
I had like internal bleeding in my arm. I have loss of range of motion in my hand.
Well, I didn't even went to see them because I was so scared.
It was the unluckiest day and the luckiest day of our life. So we're here and we're grateful for that.
I was super scared. Like, I was like, I killed them. Like, I was crying in jail.
We both have to deal with physical injuries, but like Lisa said, it was the unluckiest and luckiest moment of our life, so we're grateful that we're here.
Being pretty close to 18 myself, I can understand driving my father or mother's car and maybe not understanding if they had insurance or me not having insurance myself. So I could understand and sympathize maybe with not knowing whether a car was insured or not. But you know for sure if you went 1 time, 2 times, 3 times and did not pass a driver's test and you don't hold a license in your wallet, at 18, you know whether or not you have a license, and that's unacceptable.
Yeah.
No one expects an accident. That's the point.
Yeah. I really felt sorry for
her. Jessica Crane for personal items and money from a GoFundMe fundraiser.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2119, Crane versus Crane.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Well, Miss Crane, this is a very sad case. This is your daughter.
Yes, it is.
And I don't know how many children that you have, but I know that you had a son who was in medical school, who was, how old, 25 years old?
30.
30. Sounds as if he was a popular young man. He was in an outing with friends, and sadly, he drowned.
Yes, he did. Saving
and that
2
happened,
women.
just a second, and that happened when?
That happened July 29th of this year.
This is what the case is about. His friends, in his memory, started a GoFundMe page.
Correct.
And there is approximately $40,000 in that GoFundMe page.
There was, yes.
I said approximately.
Yes.
There was. And your daughter is, for want of a better word, in charge of that Facebook page GoFundMe proceeds.
Correct.
And it is your claim that as the next of kin, because he died without a will, you are entitled to some or all of that Facebook page.
It doesn't even matter about the GoFundMe funds. I mean, that would be nice in a perfect world, but my daughter took everything. From the day my son passed, when they found his body at the river, the coroner gave her the keys to his truck, and she went to his apartment and emptied it. So I didn't get my chance to be Josh's mom for the last time. I didn't get to empty his apartment.
I can't cure that, madam.
No.
I can't cure that.
No.
And you can't put any sort of a value on anything that your daughter might have taken from that apartment because you don't know what was there.
Correct.
So I can't help you with that. In a perfect world, maybe she would have gone with you to the apartment, but she didn't.
Correct.
Based upon what I read, you were not there during the search for your son or the discovery of his body. Is that correct?
I was at home.
Okay. And your daughter was there?
Yes, she was.
And I assume that you were close to your brother?
Absolutely close to my brother.
Just curious, what prevented you? You were notified that your son was missing. What prevented you from going there?
My daughter was at the house the day Josh went missing, and we had my car torn apart. She left after they called her, and I definitely would have hitched a ride, but I didn't have a vehicle.
Your Honor,
Just a second. Did you say she was at your house?
Yes, she was.
Well, then why didn't you go with her?
They didn't call till after she had left, apparently, and rather than come back and get me...
You mean she left to go someplace else?
She left to go home. Yeah, we were working on my car. She left to go home, and she got a call from Search and Rescue. I hadn't been answering my phone.
Oh, well, that's a different story. You hadn't been answering your phone. It wasn't as if nobody called you.
No, she didn't call.
It wasn't as if nobody called you. Did somebody call you?
Right, from Search and Rescue, yes.
Somebody called you?
Yes.
Okay. Mrs. Crane, this is your problem. If your son passed away without a will, and I'm sure that somebody else, maybe a professional has told you that, a legal professional has told you that, if your son passed away without a will, depending upon the laws in your jurisdiction, you, as his parent, might be construed as next of kin, and any property that he owned at the time of his death would transfer to you.
Right, correct, yes.
He didn't own the GoFundMe page at the time he died.
No, he did not.
So you don't get it.
Okay.
Any part of it.
Okay.
Your Honor, she already received funds from the GoFundMe as well.
Just a second. The people that set up the GoFundMe page, I assume, were classmates of your brother's?
Yes, they were his other fourth-year medical students that had reached out to me and asked if they could...
Don't tell me what they asked you. They set up a GoFundMe page. Do you have the paperwork for the GoFundMe page? I'd like to see it. Okay, so they raised $39,287.
Correct.
Okay. Is there anything that is in writing that makes you either the beneficiary of...
The organizer of
Would you do me a favor, look it up?
Underneath the photo.
It does say that I am the beneficiary listed on there.
Thank you. You're Jessica.
I am.
Okay. Is organizing this fundraiser on behalf of Jessica Crane.
Mm-hmm.
That's her.
That has changed. Initially, it was for Joshua Crane, and with the legal remedy.
Just show me.
It's never been for...
Show me, just a second. Mrs. Crane.
Yes.
It wouldn't make any difference, but I'm willing to look at something that originally it was on behalf of somebody else.
The reason I'm here today is not because of the GoFundMe.
Your Honor, that's exactly why she's here. It's the money. It's always been about the money.
All right, how are you going to pay the note on a $14,000 truck?
I plan on returning to work. This incident has taken my job, believe it or not.
Actually, I don't believe it.
Your Honor, I work 3 jobs.
Just a second. Actually, I don't believe it.
And later today.
What kind of narcotics were found inside the vehicle?
It's alleged that it was a...
No, it's not alleged. This is a police report. I'm asking you, what kind of narcotics were found in your car?
Carol Crane claims her daughter, Jessica Crane, is wrongfully keeping her son's property and money from his GoFundMe fundraiser.
This is your complaint. I'm suing the defendant, Jessica Crane, in the amount of $10,000 for my portion of my deceased son's GoFundMe account and personal items, including my son's guitars and his vehicle.
Correct.
Okay. Now you're not looking for his GoFundMe account.
I never really was, because I never knew the law on GoFundMe. I tried to find out and speak to someone about it and get legal advice, and I could never find anyone.
Well, it's very easy. He didn't own this property while he was alive, so you have no title to it. If they said that they're starting a GoFundMe page in the name of your son to be for the benefit of animal rescue, you wouldn't have any control over that.
No, it was meant for his funeral costs.
Which I also paid
it says,
for,
just
Your
a
Honor.
second, on behalf of Jessica Crane.
Right.
On behalf of Jessica Crane, just for my own curiosity, I'd like to know, your son was buried at some point?
He was cremated.
He was cremated.
And I have the receipts. I paid for his obituary, his cremation.
Okay, so what I'm asking you is, there were no serious funeral costs?
I got everything donated on my funeral.
That's not true as
Just a second. I'm asking you, Mrs. Crane, did you pay anything for your son's funeral?
No.
Okay, that's all. So it's not as if you had any outlay of money for this. You know what I find sort of troublesome? I find troublesome that his friends, because that sometimes happens, it's human nature, you feel so badly about something, you want to do something, and probably the easiest thing to do is to raise money. And the easiest thing for probably these people who are in their 20s and 30s is to start a GoFundMe page. I mean, it just would seem to me if they wanted to do a scholarship for him at the school, if they wanted to do something else, this is for those people out there who are watching, who are GoFundMe people. I've seen some of the more ridiculous ones, you know, and there are good-natured people out there who see these things and will donate $5 and $10. Oh, my goodness, they need funeral costs. Well, in this case, there were no issues, and almost all this money, $40,000, is left. What are you going to do with it?
So there's a couple things that I planned on doing with it. It's why the money has been sitting in account.
I just want the people who donated this money to know what you're going to do with it. It's not for you to buy anything for yourself.
Your Honor.
That would be ridiculous. That's not what was in their minds. So I want to know who I'm dealing with.
Your Honor, after all of Josh's expenses were paid for, which I paid for using that money. I am very close with the dean at UC Davis, who is a good friend of my brother's as well, and they have talked about setting up a scholarship fund for my brother, and I was going to donate a portion of that money back if UC Davis decides to set that up on his behalf. And then I also wanted to set up scholarship funds for my sons, who my brother was very close with.
So what you're telling me is you're going to give a little to UC Davis for a scholarship in his name, and you're going to use some for your two sons for their education.
Absolutely.
Well, that's really not what it was intended to do. I'm just telling you, it was not what it was intended to do.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's how GoFundMes are set up. People can set them up for an intended purpose, and they're used for anything.
But I'm just telling the people out there, before you spend money on a GoFundMe page, make sure it's going to go to a place where you want it to go and for the intended purpose you want it, which is to somehow celebrate the life of this young man that was cut short so tragically. And it would seem to me, Miss Crane, you don't have to do anything because they made you the beneficiary of this money. But it would seem to me that a stand-up person would take whatever is left of that and create a scholarship in his name at UC Davis, which is where he went to school. I can't order you to do that, but I'm just telling you, and everybody else out there, make sure if you have a good heart and a good spirit, you know where your money is going. Okay, so you're not entitled to any of the money. Now, did you take your brother's guitars?
I cleared out my brother's entire...
Just a second.
Yes, Your Honor.
Just answer.
Yes, Your
answer
Honor.
the question. And how many guitars did you take?
3.
Where are they?
They're at my house.
Now, I don't have to do this. Would you like one of your son's guitars?
Yes, very
Would you
much
like
so.
one of your son's guitars? Do you have any of your son's guitars?
None.
Your Honor, my mom has a long history of substance abuse. She's bought gifts for me in the past, and she's pawned them off. And I would like to keep them in my family, so that's where they stay. So that's why I have possession of them, because I don't want them going to a pawn shop.
I was told I could visit one of my son's guitars at her home.
Just a second, do you play guitar?
No. I just want it because it's my son's, and
Well-
I bought 3 of his guitars for him.
None
so
of these guitars were purchased by her. They're very expensive guitars. My brother purchased
I can't
every one
order
of
her to
these
do
guitars.
anything. I'm just asking her whether she would give you one of the guitars. And she said no. The next thing we have here is a vehicle. Now, tell me about the vehicle.
So Josh didn't have a lot. He was a fourth-year medical student. He has a truck, a Toyota, a 2019 Toyota Tacoma, that he still owes about $14,000 on. I have that here, $13,841.76 on. And at the time, his truck was at the boat launch where they found him. So when I met with the sheriffs, they gave me possession of the keys. They found his keys on his body, and they gave me his keys. So we brought the truck up to where we live in Northern California, took the truck up there, and it's been kept in storage until this is all sorted out. I personally wanted to keep the truck. I have the means to finance the truck in my name. I have the means to make a payment. She does not have the means to make a payment. She doesn't have a job. She doesn't have a driver's license. She can't provide insurance for it. I mean, she has driving.
That's not particularly relevant. There's $14,000 left on it. Are you employed?
I was until
Just to
this
say,
started.
the answer is either yes or no. Are you employed?
No.
All right, how are you going to pay the note on a $14,000 truck?
I plan on returning to work. This incident has taken my job, believe it or not.
Actually, I don't believe it.
Your Honor, I work 3
Just
jobs.
Just a second. Actually, I don't believe it.
Okay.
So the answer is, if you can't afford to make the payments on this truck, and the only thing that's going to happen is it's going to be repossessed by the bank. Have you been making payments on the truck?
I have not made a payment.
Who is the finance company?
Credit union.
Where is the truck currently stored? Give me the address.
I don't have an exact address.
And later today,
You don't understand something, sir. Even though she was high on drugs and passed out in her car and you were not at fault, it's not windfall day. That's ridiculous. And I'm not stupid.
Carol Crane claims her daughter, Jessica Crane, is wrongfully keeping her son's property and money from his GoFundMe fundraiser.
I want to see the paperwork on the loan. Okay. Sarah, when we finish with this case, call credit union, advise them who has the truck, let them go repossess the truck. We're finished here. Your case is dismissed.
This court is adjourned.
I had an addiction problem, and she's just angry. She's angry at me, and I've tried to make amends. I've tried to get this better, and she won't have it. My daughter got away with taking absolutely everything, and she wasn't entitled to it.
I think that if there's any lesson to be taken away, aside from the fact that you're not supposed to fight, when you lose somebody so young and so vital, the one innocent party is the credit union who loaned him the money to buy the truck. She's been hiding the truck now for 5 months, hasn't made a payment on it. The right thing to do is for her to turn that truck into the credit union, because I can't control that, except that I can advise the credit union where she is, who she is, that she has possession of the truck, and they should go and repossess it. Anyway, it's all very sad. Before you donate money to a GoFundMe page, make sure you know where the money is going. I think that that's the takeaway from this.
Case 2161, Shaheen versus Larry. All parties, please step forward.
Jamal Shaheen is suing his neighbor, Sabrina Larry, for car damage after Sabrina hit his vehicle and a house.
Mr. Shaheen, tell me where you live.
I live in Moorhead, Minnesota.
And on September 8th of this year, you parked your relatively new car that, according to you, you got a week before.
No, Your Honor.
I had just purchased a Sequoia a week before.
No, actually, it's not. It's not the new car. I mean, it's a used car, but I purchased it maybe a year before that, not exactly a week.
Okay. So it's not a new car, and you didn't purchase it a week before?
No.
But you parked it in front of your house. Do you have a photograph of the car?
I do.
I'd like to see it. And it is your claim that the defendant, Miss Larry, while under some sort of influence of some sort of substance, was driving her car, had an accident, hit your car, and caused it to move 25 feet, and it was damaged.
Yes.
And the damage to the car was the rear bumper.
Yep.
Not yep. Yes is the answer.
Yes.
Yes is the answer. Okay. Miss Larry, what time did you have your accident?
9 or 10 a.m.
On the 8th?
Yes.
Where were you coming from?
The grocery store.
Where were you going?
Home.
What kind of drugs had you taken?
I was taking Benadryl, prescription medication. That's all I had. That's what I took. And
Can I see the police report? You remember hitting his car?
no.
You remember the police coming to where your car stopped?
No, I don't remember the police coming.
Well, did the police come?
They did, yes.
And you don't remember that?
I don't remember that.
Were you taken to a hospital?
I was.
You have the discharge notes from the hospital?
I do.
I'd like to see it. What kind of narcotics were found inside the vehicle?
It's alleged that it was a...
No, it's not alleged. This is a police report. I'm asking you. What kind of narcotics were found in your car?
They said that they found a round blue pill that had an M30 on it. That's what it stated.
Sarah, do me a favor. Sure. Look up under illegal drugs, M30.
So M30s imitate oxycodone obtained from a pharmacy, but when sold on the streets, the pills routinely contain fentanyl.
Look up this name, Percocet. You smoke Percocet? How do you smoke Percocet? That's the only thing you remembered. You didn't remember the accident. Patient remembers smoking Percocet pill just prior to allegedly passing out and crashing her vehicle. That's what they say from your doctor.
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The history is provided by the patient. The history is limited by condition of the patient. History is limited because the patient does not remember the actual automobile accident. Remembers smoking Percocet pill just prior to allegedly passing out and crashing her vehicle. You think the doctor made that up? And they just so happened to have found this blue pill in your console in your car?
That's what they are saying.
Okay. You actually know you could have killed yourself. Yeah. Okay. And you don't remember anything about it because that's what you told them. You don't remember anything about anything after you smoked the little blue pill, which is what they said. So your car was moved. That's the damage to your car.
Yep.
So can I see the estimate for the damage, please?
I think
You gave it to me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Have you had the car fixed?
Just a back tail light that I had to put it on. I was trying to fix it, but don't have any money to do it.
Sarah, look up, please, would you?
I'm looking it up right now.
Oh, great. Thank you. Oh, it's a 21-year-old car. It's got 226,000 miles on it. How much did you pay for it, sir?
I paid 10.
We're not going to spend 7 to fix it.
But that's how much it costs.
You find somebody to do it less.
Well, now I am without a car.
You're not without a car, sir. You put on the taillight so that you could drive it. This car is not drivable.
That car was dragged. That back axle, it shakes. I can drive it in
Between 2 and
highway.
5,000.
Between 2 and 5,000. You paid too much for the car, sir. You don't understand something, sir. Even though she was high on drugs and passed out in her car and you were not at fault, it's not windfall day. If you can buy the car for $2,000, buy an old 22-year-old car for $2,000. She's not paying you $7,000 to fix a $2,000 car. That's ridiculous. And I'm not stupid. Do we understand each other? Now, between
2,500 and 5,000 based off of a 250,000 mile 2002 Toyota.
So you have to find somebody who's going to fix your car for $3,000, sir. That's $1,000 more than you could buy it for. We're done here. Judgment for the plaintiff.
This court is adjourned.
I would remember if I hit a car, and I didn't.
She ran into my car, run into a garage.
I know exactly what I took, and it definitely wasn't narcotics.
That area that I was living in, it's a really bad area. A lot of drugs are going on over there.
I'm very, very lucky. I'm very blessed. Like she said, I could be dead.
Just the audacity of some plaintiffs to come in here with an almost 22-year-old car with 275,000 miles on it. And I looked it up, and I even priced it on the positive end, the private party value, not a trade-in and so forth. $7,000 he was comfortable asking the court for a car that's not even worth $7,000.
Yeah, he'll buy.
For a back panel.
Buy a new one. He was lying when I said, how much did you pay for the car? $10,000. That's ridiculous. And he just bought it, he said, a year ago. In the papers, he said he bought it a week before. So either it was a week or a year. Not
either way. Not
Zachary Martin is suing his neighbor, Nancy Morrell, for property damage after his car was vandalized.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2151, Martin versus Morrell.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Martin, you and the defendant are neighbors.
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you been neighbors?
Moved into the subdivision in 2019.
That's how long you've been there?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know how long the defendant has been there?
I think 2014.
Is that right?
2017, Your Honor.
Oh, okay.
And where do you live in respect to one another? You want to go over there and show me?
I live in this house right here. Or I did. I don't anymore. This house right here. And she lives right here.
You sold your house?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and the defendant
She lives right here.
Where the blue car is?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. This is sort of a circular area, and from the circular area, you pull into your driveway. Is that right? Okay. It is your claim that the defendant keyed your car.
Yes, ma'am.
And when did this happen?
January 22nd, 2022.
The defendant says that she did not key your car. She has a counterclaim. She claims that she was falsely arrested and held overnight in jail.
That is a lie.
But just to
Okay.
That's her claim, that she was falsely arrested, that she spent a night in jail. She had to hire a lawyer, did hire a lawyer after her lawyer requested several adjournments. You were not, at least physically, in the courtroom at the time of the last adjournment, and the case was dismissed. So let's go back to prior to January 22nd. I assume that if you're alleging that the defendant keyed your car, that you have some negative history with each other.
Yes, ma'am.
Starting when?
There are so many. I mean, it started out when we moved in the subdivision. They were nice at the beginning, no issues. And then the kids started having, her granddaughter lives with her.
Okay, how old's your granddaughter?
She's 9 now. She was 8.
Okay.
They started having some issues, as kids do. I mean, you know, that happens.
You have a child of a similar age?
Yes, ma'am. She's 11 now. She was 9 or 10 when we lived there.
And the 2 children had an issue?
I mean, you know, kids argue.
No, I understand that. I'm not going into who was right and who was wrong in the kids' argument. I don't really care. But when did that argument between the 2 children spill over to the neighbors?
Well, I guess the final straw was Labor Day weekend of 21, the Sunday before the Labor Day. We came home late. It was about 7 o'clock. We were working, and we told Jillian we were going home for a little bit, and she said, I want to swim in the pool. So, all right.
Jillian is your 10-year-old?
Yes, yes. And, of course, she said, well, that's boring, Daddy. I want a friend to swim with me. So I said, okay, one friend. That's it, because your brother's going to watch you, and then we're leaving to go back to work. So she goes next door to Patrick's house, which is the next-door neighbor, and she asked Patrick to come over and go swimming. He comes over. At the time, I didn't know this. At the time...
At the time, the defendant's granddaughter was there.
Yes.
At Patrick's house.
Yes.
Got it. So your daughter went over and invited Patrick to come and swim.
Right. And not...
You had told her that she could have one friend in the pool, so Patrick left to come swimming, leaving your granddaughter alone.
Well, she had to go home.
She had to go home.
Yes.
She came home.
Just a second. Okay. That's what happened. Okay. You had a grandchild who had hurt feelings. I assume
she actually went over to go swimming. She thought she was invited too.
You had a child with hurt feelings.
And I went to ask what had happened.
Okay.
That's this big hoopla.
Okay. Now, your grandchild comes home. I assume she was upset. Was she crying?
Yes.
Okay. And that was about what time?
In the evening. I honestly can't remember.
Okay. And when she came home crying, tell me what you did.
Went out and, honey, what's wrong?
No, what did you do?
Are you okay?
Yes, and she told you what happened.
She said, I went over to Jillian's. She invited us swimming. And when I got there, her dad said only one person could swim.
Okay.
So she came home.
Okay, and what did you do next?
That's not what happened.
I talked to her, calmed her down, and I went over and said, hey.
You know, just a second. You walked from your house, where the blue car is.
Yep, around the corner.
Did you take your granddaughter with you?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
She's lying.
And what? Shh. If you do that again, I'm just going to dismiss your case. Do you understand that? And you know, it's easy.
I got it.
This isn't my case, it's your case.
I know.
So you walked alone to his house. Did you knock at the door? Did you go outside? I want you to tell me exactly what you did.
I don't remember if I went to the front door, or I went to where the pool is, and I do believe Mr. Martin was out there.
Okay, so Mr. Martin was out there, and you said it in that kind of a calm tone?
What happened to my granddaughter? Why is she crying?
Well, she told you why she was crying when she was home. She told you she was crying because she went over there to swim, and Mr. Martin said you can only have one person swim with you.
Which is totally out of character. The children swim together all the time.
You mean at Mr. Martin's pool?
At Mr. Martin's pool, and if they need another adult...
Just a second.
I go.
So they swim all the time in Mr. Martin's pool, so you wanted to know what happened on this occasion when he said only one person can swim.
Yes.
And you said it in just the same kind of conversational tone that I'm talking in, is my question.
I was very calm at the beginning, yes.
Oh, okay. And so you said to him what happened, and what did he say to you?
I don't remember exactly. It was to the effect of his son was going to watch them, and he could only have one child in the pool.
Right, that he wanted his son to have responsibility of only watching one other child other than his sister.
Correct.
Right, well, that sounds reasonable.
And that's fine.
Just a second. So how did it escalate? He said, I only wanted one child in here. My son's going to watch the kids. We have to go back to work. And that should have been it. Why wasn't it?
I don't know.
So I walked back out and looked at the Pathfinder, and that's what I discovered, the scratch across the back. Bright white, so that indicates it's fresh. I told her while she was standing there, you're going to jail, I'm gonna call the police.
Okay, now I'd like to see the video.
Zachary Martin claims his neighbor, Nancy Morrell, keyed his car and owes for the repairs. Nancy is countersuing for a false arrest and lawyer fees.
Now let's get to your version of what happened. Okay, so you said only one child. Her granddaughter went home. Her granddaughter, who's a little girl, is upset. Why can't I go swimming too? I got that. And?
This is a lie. Everything she told you was a lie.
Just a second.
She did not come to my house.
Just a second.
She did not come to my house.
If you say again it's a lie, I'm going to dismiss your case. Do you understand that?
Yes.
I asked you what happened.
She did not come to my house.
Okay.
Her daughter came to my house.
Just a second. You mean her granddaughter's mother?
Yes. I never talked to her.
Before my daughter went over, I had gone over.
She didn't.
Oh, no, just a second. Yeah. Now I don't believe you, Miss Morrell. Now I don't believe you, madam. I watched your eyes. I just watched it. Now uncross your arms. So, her daughter came over first.
No,
Yes.
I went over.
I don't want to hear you.
She never came over. The daughter came over. She bypassed my front door and went to the side gate where the pool is. She told my son to go get me.
To go get you?
To go get me. I came out and she called me a jerk. You should let her swim in the pool. Blah. I just told my daughter, look, you can have one friend because your brother's watching you. It's not fair for him now to watch 3 kids. Just 2, that's all. I told her, I said, look, I don't know what you're talking about. I said she could have one friend and that's it. She proceeded to call me a jerk. She said some other choice words I'm not going to repeat, in which case I did cuss her out and told her to get off my property and not to come back again, anybody in her family, or I would file trespass charges.
Okay, and that was on the Sunday before Labor Day?
Yes, ma'am.
And when did this incident happen with your car?
January 22nd.
After that incident on Labor Day weekend, did you have any other contact with the defendant?
Yes.
When?
So I think it was right after Jillian's birthday on November the 21st. I think it was like a week, like December the 1st, I think. And this is really sick, but it got to the situation where she would watch my kid. And every time my kid would go to Aubrey's house or Patrick's house, she would take toys, she would unpack her stuff. And I told her, I said, look, you can't play with her. So they would wait 10 or 15 minutes till she got unpacked and get all comfortable, having a good time. She would send her granddaughter over there. She had to pack her stuff up and come home. She would come home crying many times. So then it got to the point where Patrick, he would come over to our house. He'd be over to our house all the time. They would get on trampoline, play video games, blah, blah, blah. So I was doing something one day, and then the camera went off, and I give me a alert on my iPad. Here comes Nancy up my driveway. She knocks on the door, and she says, can we play? And I said, no, you can't play. Get off of my property. File trespass charges if you come back. That was, the last time I interacted with her. Until she keyed the video.
Well, it's not my job to be judgmental in a social way, but I have to tell you, I would have handled it a little differently with her. She wasn't the one who behaved badly. I wouldn't visit her daughter's bad behavior on an 8-year-old. There are kids who live right around the corner from each other, and it seems to me that the bad behavior of a parent or a grandparent shouldn't impact on a child. The granddaughter is a nice little girl.
Well, if you say so.
Is she?
Well, she spread rumors about my daughter and said that, she told Aubrey that my daughter stole some of her toys, and that was a lie.
Okay. All right. Well, it sort of started to get nasty. Now let's get back to the keying of the car. So that happened in January. So tell me about the January incident.
Okay, so she got up January 22nd. It's a Saturday. She decided to walk her dog. She's walked her dog.
Go over there. Show me what you saw.
Okay. So she decided to walk her dog, and so she walks up the sidewalk.
Well, you didn't see that.
No, not right here.
No, you didn't see that.
When she gets about right here, which is Patrick's house, the mailbox is right here, you can see in the video. That's when the cameras detect motion. That's when I get the alert. So I see her walking the dog, and she's walked her dog past my house many times, but never gotten that close to my vehicle. So immediately I thought something.
Where was your car?
My car is parked right here.
In the driveway?
Yes, ma'am. So she walks the dogs, and she is right beside the view. You can see in the video, you can see her right hand go up. So I immediately run out of the house. I have a truck parked right here. I looked at my truck. I thought maybe she did something to the truck. I looked at it, didn't see anything. I went back outside and I said, well, wait a minute, let me go back outside and look at the Pathfinder. So I walked back out and looked at the Pathfinder, and that's what I discovered, the scratch across the back. It's bright white, so that indicates it's fresh. I told her while she was standing there, you're going to jail, I'm gonna call the police.
Okay, step back. When you said to her, "You're going to jail, I'm going to call the police," did she respond?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, now I'd like to see the video.
Okay. You can see as her hand goes up right there.
I'll take a look at it again. Is there any reason that you stopped behind his car? Is there
the
any
dog
reason?
Stopped to sniff. I stopped with him.
You see her right hand right there.
I'm moving my arm as I walk.
Yes, and that's where the scratch is.
Okay, can I take a look at the photographs of the scratch, please? Okay, so based upon what you saw, you called the police. And based upon that, the police came, interviewed you, and viewed this tape.
Actually, I had contacted the police after he had yelled at me. He's a little incorrect. Could I show you where?
Sure.
I did walk my dog around here. His cars impede the sidewalk, so I moved. And I had completed my whole route over to about here, and he did indeed come out and yell at me. I caught a few words of it, said, "I'm walking my dog," waved my arms, and continued on. That's not the first time he has yelled at me as I've been walking, and I went home and I filed an incident report, and I do have that.
Just a second.
The second time I've been walking and he's come out and yelled at me, it's very unnerving.
That's a lie.
We're very
Sorry.
far.
Sorry.
It's going to cost you getting your car fixed. It's something you don't understand.
I have it.
Something you don't understand. I'm allowing both of you to tell me your sides of the story. You can't say that's a lie. Do you understand?
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
not cutting you off. I let you tell me your story, sir. I let you tell me what happened, and I want to give the defendant the same opportunity. You can't interrupt her. Now you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I will tell you what I don't understand, Miss Morell. You see, if I had got into a kerfuffle with him, which you had, because he said, you and your granddaughter, which I actually think was socially wrong with regard to your granddaughter, but with regard to you, he doesn't want you there, right? I wouldn't walk up a cul-de-sac to go past his house. If it were me, I see plenty of space where you can walk. You can cross the street from your house and walk in the street the other way. And then when you come back, you can walk the other way. You don't have to go inside that cul-de-sac to walk anywhere near his house. That's looking for trouble.
Can I just say something?
About what?
The trend that another gentleman, he tried to accuse of trashing his car.
Are you her husband?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm going to let you stand up now, and you're going to show me where he accused somebody else of keying his car in the back in January. Show me.
Zachary Martin is accusing his neighbor, Nancy Morell, of keying his car. Nancy is countersuing for a false arrest and lawyer fees.
So you have a counterclaim, and your counterclaim is for false arrest. He didn't arrest you. The police arrested you. And the police arrested you based upon what they believed, after looking at that video, was probable cause that a crime was committed and probable cause to believe you participated in the commission of that crime, which is vandalism. He didn't make a citizen's arrest. The police made an arrest. And not only did they make an arrest, but they were serious enough to have you get a lawyer. Your counsel went in. I assume your new counsel asked for an adjournment. I assume your new counsel, you were there.
I believe so. I was not there, ma'am. I waited out in the hall, and my lawyer represented me.
Fine. So I assume that you knew that your lawyer was going to ask for an adjournment. The lawyer didn't prepare you for trial, did he?
No.
No.
Your Honor.
So he was. I'm not listening to you.
As a witness, can I just say something?
About what?
The trend that another gentleman, he tried to accuse of trashing his car. We have evidence of that.
Just a second. That I'll listen to in a minute.
Okay.
The second time your case was on, did you go into court or did you wait outside?
I waited outside.
Then if you waited outside, you knew again your lawyer was going to ask for an adjournment. The first time the case was on, did you attend the court hearing?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you inside the court?
Yes, ma'am.
She was not there.
She was outside. Yes, ma'am.
The second time when the case was adjourned, were you in court?
Yes, ma'am.
Was she there?
Yes, ma'am.
Outside or inside?
She was outside.
Did her lawyer ask for an adjournment?
Continuance.
A continuance?
Yes, ma'am.
Same thing?
Yes, ma'am.
Did it happen more than twice?
Yes.
On the third time you went to court, did you go to court?
Yes, ma'am.
Was she in court?
Yes, ma'am.
Inside or outside?
She was outside, and what happened, I had sold the house, and we moved an hour away.
Just a second. You were there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, I'm going to let you stand up now, and you're going to show me where he accused somebody else of keying his car in the back in January. Show me. No. Well, this says that on January 18th, which was 4 days before this incident, you reported another vandalism to a Nissan Titan.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that the car that you saw her key or believe she keyed?
No, ma'am, that's a different vehicle.
That's what I thought. That's a different vehicle. That has nothing to do with this car.
Well, the gentleman that he accused it of, he didn't even have arrested or didn't want to press charges.
Just a second. Okay, so now I'm going to let you stand up, and I'm going to give you my end of the riot act, because if this is what you're deluding yourself with, I'm going to tell you. He didn't have video of anybody on the 18th around his car. In your wife's case, sir, he had prior experience with her. She had no business walking right in front of the house when there are plenty of other places to walk. If they are not on great terms, he had every right to call the police, show them the video, and they had every right to arrest her. Do you understand that?
I understand that, but
Good.
that doesn't
This has
prove
nothing.
that she scratched the vehicle. That doesn't prove that.
Just a second. That's what a trial is for, sir. That was up to a jury. What your wife is suing him for is for false arrest. He didn't arrest her. The police arrested her. Now sit. May I see the invoice? Have you had the car fixed?
Yes, ma'am. I have an estimate, and I also have the police report. where
I'd like to
read
see
her own
both.
words.
I'd like to see both. So the police officer indicated that after you were told about what the officer saw on the video, you've decided to make no more statements about the incident, and you were placed under arrest for malicious damage. The officer also reported that the scratch on the back of the car was fresh because there were fresh paint chips on the street that were red paint chips. There's a red car that came off that car, which demonstrates to the eyes of any layperson that since there's traffic back and forth there, if there are fresh scratches and fresh paint, it means it just happened. So your counterclaim for false arrest and anything addended thereto is dismissed.
I did not do it, Your Honor.
Right, well, okay, maybe. The case was dismissed. That doesn't mean you're entitled to money from him. Police had probable cause to believe that a crime was committed and probable cause to believe that you committed that crime. The rest of it is up to a jury. So you have a beef with the police department, not with him. They had an absolute right to arrest you. I'm not giving you $2,500 for this scratch, sir. Get it out of your mind. Do you understand?
Why not?
It's not a $2,500 scratch.
I mean, that's an estimate from a
$500. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
Well, she was incorrect because I did not do it.
You know, we took an oath when we went inside to tell the truth, and she lied repeatedly, and she got mad at me when I said that's a lie, but it was a lie.
That he saw me walking by and looked at the car and said, oh.
The next day I called the police to see what happened, and they informed me they arrested her.
I thought they were there because I had called about him harassing me, and then all of a sudden they just said, you scratched his car. And I said, no, I didn't.
I think she should have stayed in jail longer.
They placed me in custody.
The lady does nothing but lie. She's a liar.
It was horrible.
I actually thought his behavior when the defendant brought her granddaughter over subsequently and said, can't she play? Because evidently there are 2 or 3 kids who live close by and they always played together. All of a sudden, the granddaughter is excluded from that play. there's a certain amount, as a parent, he should have had some sense of that and said, well, of course they complain, but your daughter owes me an apology. You know, if you're behaving like an adult, your daughter owes me an apology. I tried to do a responsible thing. I didn't want to let my son watch more than one stranger child in a pool, which is absolutely smart because, God forbid, something happened to one of those children, they would certainly turn around and sue him.
Yeah.
So he did the responsible thing. Was it hurtful to the other child? Yes. According to him, his daughter was playing at Patrick's house. She came over and said, you can't come, because they're little children. They don't understand. You can't come. Only one person can come. But you're a grown-up. So understand how that could be hurtful to an 8-year-old. Anyway, I think that they both behaved badly, and he's very smart to have moved out of that.
Out of the cul-de-sac, out of the neighborhood.
Yeah, could you understand why she would walk her dog there?
Yeah, I agreed with you that if you've already had even just a hint of distaste with any of your neighbors, I just walk on the other side of the street, just avoid it. And this seems like a perfectly avoidable house in the cul-de-sac.
You actually have to
go into his loop in order to make the loop. So I don't know. I think both sides questionable, but I'm glad that he got something that you were willing to give him for his car.
Yeah, get your car fixed reasonably. And the police absolutely had a right to arrest her.
Yeah.
There was a complaint. They looked at the complaint. They saw the damage. They saw it was fresh. They saw her right there on the video. They had a history of bad feelings between them. They had an absolute right to arrest her.
Yeah.
Too bad.
Michael Attar is suing his former clients, Mary and Michael Rhodes, for unpaid demolition work.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2115, Attar versus Rhodes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Attar, you were hired to do some, according to you, demolition work and other work at a property owned by Mr. and Mrs. Rhodes. You gave them an estimate for that work. I think the estimate was $11,500. Is that correct?
Correct.
And it was outlined what work you were supposed to do. You started that work, and according to you, at some point there was disagreement with either or both of the Rhodeses, and they stopped payment on a check that they gave you.
Correct.
And the check that they gave you was for $4,200. And then you stopped work for them.
Yes, ma'am, we're finished.
So you're suing them for the canceled check and for other unpaid work that you did that you didn't get paid for.
Correct.
Mr. and Mrs. Rhodes say that they were not satisfied with the quality of your work. It cost them $9,000 to both replace things that were stolen from their property by either you or members of your team, something which I don't think that you question, that somebody from your team, not you, somebody from your team may have taken metal property of theirs that they didn't own. So let's go back. Mr. and Mrs. Rhodes, is this a new property to you, or is this a property that you owned for a while?
It's a new property to us.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So is it a private house?
Yes, and we were remodeling it.
Okay, when did you purchase it?
We purchased in January of 2021.
Is it a single-family residence?
Yes.
How much did you pay for it?
$769,000.
Describe the property to me.
It's in northern Altaloma or Rancho Cucamonga. It's an acre property, has 2 levels on it, and a single-family ranch-style home on it right now. And what we asked him to do was demolition the lower half.
Do you have a photograph?
I do.
I'd like to look at the photograph of what you wanted him to do.
That's what the lower half looked like before.
So this whole portion you wanted him
correct
to demolish and remove the debris.
And grade flat.
Is that correct, sir?
I can't see from here, ma'am.
Okay. We're going to show it to you. To demolish it, flatten it, fill it in.
Remove all the debris.
Yes.
Okay. And did you have a written contract?
We did not.
Well, that's always a mistake.
Always.
How did you find him?
I believe I got his business card. It was on my personal car, I think at Home Depot. We had bought this house, and we tried to find somebody to do the work, but...
Mr. Rhodes, let me tell you that the best way to find somebody is not somebody who leaves a card on your car at Home Depot. or anyplace else.
It was a difficult time to find contractors with COVID and everything at that time.
And at the time, I'm also going to add, because I read in the paper somewhere at the time, he didn't have a license.
He did not.
And you knew he didn't have a license.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I told him, Your Honor. I do not
Just a
have
second.
license.
They didn't say, no, we didn't know. They said, we knew. So you got somebody who had no license to do what you wanted him to do, and you got his number from a card that he left on your windshield. Did you ask for references? That's either a yes or a no.
No, and I'm not really sure actually 100% on where I found that card. I think
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean,
But he did tell us he was in the process of getting his license, that it was coming.
Yeah. I know.
What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. You're two intelligent people. Okay. So you hired an unlicensed contractor to do work on your house and agreed to pay him $11,500. Now, Mr. Rattar, the $11,000 included labor and materials. Is that correct?
There was no material. It was labor and bins.
Well,
bins.
that's material. Labor and bins to remove
Yes, ma'am.
all the equipment that you needed
Yes, ma'am.
to complete the job.
Yes, ma'am. I
Is
got
that
pictures
correct?
of before, too, of what I was supposed to do, and I took a picture.
Well, no, I have that.
You have the wrong picture, Your Honor.
Okay, I'd like to see the picture that he has.
I was supposed to do from the post all the way to the other post, remove everything, and the pool and the deck.
Mr. Rattar, the $11,500 was an all-inclusive figure.
Yes, Your Honor.
One of the things that became an issue is a bobcat.
Correct.
From what I'm piecing together, you hired somebody in a bobcat to do a bobcat. That's a big piece of equipment that knocks down something.
I rented a bobcat.
And somebody who operated it.
My worker.
You didn't know how to operate the bobcat.
I know how to operate bobcat, but I was controlling the demolition site, ma'am. I was like many things
Just a
were going at the
second.
same time. I had to control everything.
Mr. Rattar, something happened with the bobcat, the original one that you got. What happened with it?
It broke down on us.
No, it didn't break down on them. It broke down on you.
On us.
It broke down on you.
Yes.
So what did you do?
I took it back, and next day supposed to deliver me another one, but they sent me a drunk driver and another broken down bobcat. I returned it. At that moment, I asked Mrs. Rhodes, can you please go down Home Depot, which is like a mile away, so we don't stop wasting time, rent a bobcat or not.
Just a second. Why should she rent a bobcat, sir? Your $11,500 included the bobcat.
But I was paid for
No. If you're going to pay for it, that's one thing. Then what are you sending her for? If your $11,500 figure included all materials, then she doesn't have to rent a bobcat. If you rented one that didn't work, rent one that works. How much of a down payment did they give you?
Presume was $4,000.
When did you start the job?
I started the job on the 15th of January.
When did you leave the job?
I was asked to leave on the 2nd of February.
On February 2nd?
Yes, ma'am. Not to go back, I will call the cops on you.
Between January 15th and February 2nd, other than the $4,000, did they give you any other money?
Yes, Your Honor, they did.
How much money did they give you?
They gave me up to $7,000.
So they gave you an additional $3,000?
Yes, and $1,000 check.
Your Honor, that was within the first week we gave him.
It doesn't matter to me. My question was between January 15th and February 2nd, they gave you $7,000.
Correct.
Explain the other $4,200, which is the check that they stopped payment on.
Okay. I'll happily explain to you. The bobcat she rented for me on her behalf, it cost $329 to rent per day. And I rented for one day only, but they charged me $800.
No, that's not correct.
Just a second. I didn't ask you anything.
Okay.
Do you have a photograph of what the property looked like when you left?
Yes, ma'am. The last picture I took before I was kicked out of the property.
You're talking, I'm not listening to you.
Michael Attar claims his former clients, Mary and Michael Rhodes, owe for unpaid demolition work. Mary and Michael are countersuing for lost wages, equipment rental, and missing property.
Now, they paid you $7,000.
Correct.
They wrote you another check.
The final check was supposed to be $5,000, but they only gave me $4,200 because they mined $800 for the bobcat rental.
Just a second. First of all, the total bill wasn't 7 and 5. 7 and 5, even my rudimentary math, is $12,000. That would be $500 more than your agreed contract, which was for 11.5.
They gave me $6,500 because they gave me small checks. They gave me the first initial
Just a
check,
second.
and they gave me smaller ones.
Sir, you're the businessman, whether you have a license or not. I asked you before how much money did they give you between January 15th and February 2nd, and you said $7,000.
I didn't write it down, Your Honor.
Well, you're here asking for money, and you have to write it down. You have to have
work
some.
I've done performed already. And
No, sir.
And I just did the job, Your Honor. I did 7, 8 other side jobs for
I don't care whether you did 7 or 8 side jobs. Your original agreement with them was for $11,500, including all material. Now, what you said to me was that they gave you $7,000, and you said they're supposed to give me another 5. Well, another 5 is more than your quote.
Ma'am, the balance was 5.
How?
The initial check, then they gave me $1,000.
How much money did you give them altogether that he cashed?
$7,000.
Then they owed you $4,500 pursuant to your agreement.
We agreed to $11,000, not $11,500.
11.5, Your Honor.
Anybody have any proof
No,
of
no,
what
no,
the
no,
agreed
contract.
of what the agreed amount was?
We had a verbal contract with me, Mr. Rhodes.
Fine. I will indicate that it's $11,500. If they gave you 7, they don't owe you 5. They owed you the difference between 11.5 and the 7 that they gave you. Now, one of the things that you disputed, Mr. Attar, was this Bobcat. Who paid for the Bobcat? Show me.
They minus it from the final price.
Just a second. Was that an argument?
The argument about is, Your Honor, is they rented for 1 day, but they charged me 2 days, $800. There's no Bobcat rental for $800 for 2 days. I got.
Do you have the
paper
bill
here,
for the
Your Honor.
Bobcat?
I do, yes. And it was for 2 days.
Go over a certain time.
Because it was returned late. So they charged a second day. But in his text messages, he did request it for 2 days.
Is that the total price?
Yes. And I did not subtract it from his payment.
Total contract was $652.74?
Yes.
Do you have a photograph of what the property looked like when you left?
Yes, ma'am. The last picture I took before I was kicked out of the property.
You're talking, I'm not listening to you. Just show me a picture.
Yes, ma'am. This is not a picture.
Mr. Attar, you're the businessman.
Yes, ma'am.
This is your company.
Yes, ma'am.
Company requires, A, a license before you operate, which you didn't have.
If you do.
B, it requires a written contract. You're the businessman. They're people who bought a house who got your number off a windshield someplace. You're the businessman, and you want the parameters. You want them fixed. So I don't know if it's 11,000 or 11.5. Do you understand?
Very much, Your Honor.
Right. Well, that's your mistake. You look as if you've probably been in business for a long time.
14 years.
And is what you're telling me you don't have written contracts?
All my contracts are verbal.
Then how many times have you been in court, sir?
Never.
Never.
I've never had a stop payment check. Never paid me on time, Your Honor.
It's the problem. So when you finished, the debris wasn't all removed.
That wood, they kept telling me, don't touch it. Their neighbor, cousin, whoever's going to come pick it up. That was just cut corked wood.
No. There's brick, there's wood, there's cement.
We cleaned all that. I personally cleaned all that.
Just a second. What I asked you, Mr. Attar, was show me a picture of the property when you left. This is the picture that you showed me.
That was the last, before I had more work, I came in and did more. I wasn't taking pictures. I wasn't expecting somebody to stop payment on a check, Your Honor. I was not expecting
pictures of
that.
what it looked like when he left.
What about after?
Well, what are you showing me here? This brick that's here?
They piled it there and then left it there.
Well, that's probably a good
No, it was supposed to be removed.
So this is the back.
That's the picture of the sagging patio because he removed part of the supports that were holding up the patio that he wasn't supposed to. So it's now sagging.
Now, this is the picture that you gave me when you told me this is what you wanted, leveled, cleared, and made flat.
Right.
Now, I want to see your picture of what this looked like when he left.
You have it. It's in some of those photos.
Flat's leveled.
You're talking about this?
Yeah.
That's part of it. The close-ups, that's part of it.
Well, it looks like most of the stuff is done. It looked like a lot of cleanup left.
No, ma'am. We've done all the cleanup.
Well, I haven't seen that, so then what you're supposed to do is take a photograph.
It was also buried underneath. These are the photos of when we did it ourselves and really leveled it out. And as we were doing that, we found so much buried underneath that should have been removed, but his Bobcat person buried it all.
Your Honor.
Mean buried
all the debris, all the concrete brick.
Okay,
And
let me see the bill from the...
no, we did it ourselves. We rented equipment and did it ourselves on his vacation.
Oh, nice. Okay. $4,500 is so far what's owed on this contract. Now, your counterclaim is money owed for lost work, equipment rentals, labor and missing damages to property. What money owed for lost work?
During the second week that he was working, he called and said that his crew had left. This was the second day of use of, supposed to be use of the Bobcat that I rented.
Okay, if you interrupt me again, I'm just dismissing your case. Do you understand?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good.
So
just explain lost work. Who's lost work? Oh, forget it.
Well, he called and said his crew left.
Forget it.
He can't finish the job.
You weren't living there.
Not yet, no.
You weren't living there. Okay. He wants to go. I'm not interested in his lost wages for taking care of his house. So far, you owe the man the balance on his contract, unless you had somebody else do it, which is absolutely fine. And I would look at that removal of debris, what it costs you, and you're absolutely entitled to that. Deducted from what you owe him, which is $4,500.
But he didn't finish the job.
Just a second. You tell me, how am I supposed to gauge how much of the job he didn't finish? Did he not complete $2,500 worth, $3,500 worth, $1,500 worth?
I think the $7,000 we paid him was overpaid. He didn't have to end up removing an entire pool. He only had to remove...
That's your problem. Just a second. I read that. You said it's not a big pool. It wasn't 8 feet. It was only 24 inches. He gave you a price to level everything. Nothing delineated, nothing in a written contract. The pool turns out to be 2 feet instead of 6 feet or 2 feet instead of 8 feet. Well, if he was the contractor and he came out and he looked at the pool, he said, oh, this is an 8-foot pool, and it turned out it's a 12-foot pool, he'd be stuck with 11.5, just like you're stuck with 11.5 because it was shallower. Now, you owe him $4,500 unless you want to produce for me bills that you have for rental equipment, et cetera, and I will absolutely deduct that from the $4,500. Just give me the bills and the amount of equipment. Don't say nothing, Mr. Retard. Mr. Rhodes, did you rent a Bobcat?
The one that I cleaned up the yard with?
Yes.
I rented a piece of equipment.
Jump up!
Yes.
And you know how they pick up metal?
No, I don't know that, sir. I'm a television personality. I don't know about people driving down the street to pick up metal. I've never had somebody drive down the street and say, I'm looking for metal. They don't even come down my street and ask if I want sharp knives.
Michael Attar has accused his former clients, Mary and Michael Rhodes, of refusing to pay for demolition work. Mary and Michael claim he never finished the job and stole their property.
Now, what did you rent?
A skip loader.
That's different from a Bobcat.
Yes, that's correct.
Smaller?
I would say bigger.
Bigger. And do you remember how much it cost you? Did you rent it from Home Depot?
No. It's from a local rental yard. I think it was
all the equipment we rented
in Ontario.
$1,300.
Yeah.
Find it.
Yeah.
Find the bill.
They didn't print it, so now I gotta.
How many days did you have it, Mr. Rhodes?
4.
I'm dismissing your counterclaim, Mrs. Rhodes. Do you want to know why? Because I asked him a specific question, and you answered. Do you understand? Do you understand? That part of your counterclaim, because you don't have it, you can't find it. So far, you owe him $4,500. Not $8,600, but $4,500. Now, do you have any proof that Mr. Attar or someone from his team stole copper piping or whatever piping that you claim was missing? Do you have any proof that either Mr. Attar or anyone under his authority took property from you?
Yes. We have text messages back and forth.
Okay, I'll read them. Okay, so what you're referring to with regard to the stolen property is you send a picture and there's a little piece of pipe there, one piece of pipe, and you say, Mike, did you or your guys happen to grind off 2 metal poles and concrete blocks? The kids use those for volleyball nets. And he says, oh my God, no, sir, but I'm guessing the person whom I gave my medal to, no problem, Michael, please give, and I don't see the rest of this message.
Yes, so that was the beginning of things we noticed that were missing.
Oh, I don't care.
And
If this is what you're talking about?
Yes, he's saying he let a metal person onto our yard,
Okay.
and they went and took everything that was metal.
Okay. Okay, now, Mr. Attar.
Yes, Your Honor.
I want you to tell me about the missing metal on this property.
She was standing right there, and there was a metal guy that drives down the street. And you know how they pick up metal?
No, I don't know that, sir.
There's people
I'm a
that drive down the
television
street with pickup
personality.
trucks.
I don't know about people driving down the street to pick up metal. I've never had somebody drive down the street and say, I'm looking for metal. They don't even come down my street and ask if I want sharp knives.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Very much, Your
Do you
Honor.
understand?
Very much, Your Honor.
Okay. Who is this person?
This person was picking up metal, and I asked for permission. I said, ma'am,
Just a
could he come
second.
down the property?
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
Was this person picking up metal for nothing?
Yes,
Just a second. Yeah. No. You're a business guy. Mr. Attar, somebody drives down the street and says, you know, I see you doing construction. Is there any metal around here that you want me to dispose of?
Yes, ma'am. They do a lot.
Yes. And then they look around. This is what you tell them. They look around and they take the metal for nothing.
Yes, ma'am. This would be cheaper for me instead of load it on my trailer and take it to the recycling metal yard.
So what metal did they take, sir? I assume
Everything
you watched.
that I gave him.
What
was
did you
right
give
there.
them?
Nobody went up there and cut no poles, ma'am.
Well, they sent you a picture of a pole, sir, and in response to the picture of the pole, you said, oh, my God, I'm guessing the person whom I gave my medal to.
I'm guessing.
No problem. And then you say later, tell me what it is, and I will either look high and low to get it back or replace it. That's what you say.
Yes, I offered to replace it.
That's what you say.
I offered to
Okay.
replace it.
Now, next question. I need an itemized list and what the value was of the metal taken.
No, there's a list of everything. They're listed in there.
What is this?
Those are all the damages, but the metal is listed in there separately of the items that are missing.
No, it isn't. This is a whole bunch of other things that you prepared for this case.
It's in there underneath. There's the horse feeder. Part of the corral was cut off.
This is something that you wrote yourself.
Yes, you
This
said an
isn't
itemized
this isn't
list.
If they took 6 feet of pipe, get me a bill from Home Depot for the replacement of that pipe.
Oh, I have
all the bills for the replacement of metal, not what you prepared for this litigation.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Itemized list.
Did you take down a horse corral?
No, Your Honor, I did not take no horse corral. I have nothing
Horse
to
corral,
do.
is that metal or is it?
It's made out of galvanized metal, yeah. They cut pieces off of that were sticking up to take to recycle, I guess.
Just a second. Was there a 4-sided horse corral?
Yes.
That looked like this?
Yes.
That they took down?
They cut pieces that were sticking up above the horse corral, attached to the horse corral.
You're being petty. You're being petty. $306, Ram's price, galvanized wall-mounted horse feeder. Did you take a horse feeder?
No, Your Honor, I got no...
Yo, Mr. Attar, $4,500. Judgment for the plaintiff. Counterclaims dismissed. We're finished.
This court is adjourned.
Well, his equipment broke, and he wanted us to rent the equipment for him.
Equipment died because things break down.
And then the next day, he calls and says he can't finish it.
At that moment, I didn't have a credit card to my name. And that's the honest truth.
So we pretty much figured that was job abandonment at that point.
I'm going to have a written contract in the future. Don't hire him.
Always hire a professional.
I could not believe that your first question to him when he said that he'd been working as a contractor for 14 years was, and you've been working all 14 of those years unlicensed?
Oh, yeah.
I was waiting for the
Yeah.
question. I was waiting at the edge of my seat, and it never came.
Different minds. Yeah. Should have slipped me a note.
I should have.
You should have slipped me a note. No, that actually didn't cross my mind, but that's a good question.
Yeah. Oral contracts and no license.
No license, but there's no question. He did the work.
Yeah. No, I agree.
He did the work, and they were really dickering over who was going to absorb the cost of this second Bobcat that they had to get, which was really ridiculous. If they had another contractor who came and completed the job.
You would have awarded that.
I would have deducted it from the $4,500 that they owed him. But absent that, the fact that he rented some sort of piece of equipment and came and cleaned up the property was not important to me, and the rest of their case was nonsense. Next time, they won't employ somebody for $11,000 from a card from your windshield.
At Home Depot.
From
Anywhere.
wherever, and not say, okay, listen, maybe I'll give him a shot. Give me 3 of your last references to call.
It's a good lesson to people out there,
I don't understand that.
Desiree Surratt is suing her ex-boyfriend, Curtis Vasquez, for the cost of a car and child care.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Hello, Judge. Case 2195, Surratt versus Vasquez.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Surratt, you and Mr. Vasquez were in a relationship for a period of time and have 2 children together. How old are the children?
I have a daughter that's 15 and a son that's 8.
How long did you and Mr. Vasquez live together, if you did live together?
It was a lot of off and on, so I would say maybe a combined time of 8 years.
And does your daughter enjoy a relationship with her father?
Unfortunately, no.
Is that correct?
As far as I knew, that she had a great relationship with me.
When was the last time you saw your daughter, sir?
We spoke just a couple of days ago. You know, she has more time with friends now, but I do speak with her on a frequent basis.
Is that right?
That's correct.
Why don't you wait outside? Okay? Because, Ms. Surratt, I don't believe in, unless it's absolutely necessary, and certainly in this situation, it doesn't sound to me as if it's absolutely necessary to have your teenage daughter as a witness over a couple of $1,000s, which you may or may not be entitled to. Certainly, her father is in touch with her. She said he's in touch with her, which means that they communicate and that they have a relationship. Because I read the complaint and I read the answer, and I have a few basic questions. You're suing Mr. Vasquez, who you haven't lived with in many, many years, but who you share, according to what I've read here, joint legal and physical custody. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Is that pursuant to a court order?
Yes.
And when was that court order made?
I have a copy of it, so I can tell you.
2011, Your Honor. 2011.
Was there a trial, Mr. Vasquez?
There was a trial, Your Honor, yeah.
Were you represented by counsel?
I represented myself.
And what about the plaintiff? Did she have a lawyer?
She did, Your Honor.
I'd like to see a copy of that order.
It's from 2017.
Well, there was one in 2011.
This is the original one. It hasn't changed since then. We have parenting and legal custody, and a child support order, which is separate.
So the 2016 order, the ex parte order, originally granted Mr. Vasquez custody of the children. Yes, you were the respondent in that case. So on October 28, 2016, petitioner, that is Mr. Vasquez, filed a motion to establish custody and parenting time. The petitioner, that is Mr. Vasquez, seeks joint legal and physical custody. The petitioner also sought an order granting sole legal custody of the children based upon the allegations that his daughter was watching his son without supervision for extended periods of time and that his daughter was not attending school. Child Protective Services did an investigation and actually found that you were not sending your daughter to school.
Correct.
And she was staying home and she was babysitting. Okay. Would you tell me, without my having to go through this whole thing, was there a child support order entered?
Yes.
Ultimately, and ultimately the children remained with you?
Correct.
The final order. And what was the child support order?
The child support order initially was $93 a month. I think I have a copy of it. And then to increase based off cost of living adjustments every year.
Is that $93 a month for both children?
For both children.
Okay.
Yes.
The order was ultimately increased. How much do you pay in child support now, sir?
$230 a month, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, that's not the order.
Well, I asked how much you pay. Were you ever in arrears of payment?
I was at one point, and then I caught up, so I've been caught
Well,
up.
they're catching up, so that $230 may be partly arrears. What is the order
Oh, I'm completely caught up with my child support.
So the current order that you're paying is $230 a month?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. This is what you're suing for. It is your claim that Mr. Vasquez agreed to pay half of certain sporting fees that the children had that are not contained in the child support order, and he didn't. So you're suing him for that, and he says that you never had such an agreement, that you enrolled the children in sporting activities, and then came to him and said, do you owe me half? Am I reading that correctly?
Your Honor, that's correct.
That's your position?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, so let's move on to the plaintiff's position that you wanted to change the child support order to not what he was paying, but what he was paying, and half of their sporting activities.
We actually had a verbal agreement.
Well, I'd like you to tell me when that took place, what you said to him, and what he said to you. So tell me first when that verbal agreement took place.
It was 2021, probably, just a conversation between two parents to say if we enroll.
It's a conversation between two parents.
Right.
So he's seeing the children, he's paying his child support, whatever the order was. You have a conversation with him. Is it on the phone or in person? Mr. Vasquez, your father says that he gave you the money. Certainly wasn't a day, because 2 weeks later, he writes back, if we could arrange for me to get the title while you were here, that would be awesome. So the story you just gave me was a whole lot of who shot John.
Desiree Surratt claims her ex-boyfriend, Curtis Vasquez, owes for the cost of a car and childcare. Curtis is countersuing for car repairs and vacation expenses.
Tell me first when that verbal agreement took place.
It was 2021, probably, just a conversation between two parents to say if we enroll.
It's a conversation between two parents.
Right.
So he's seeing the children, he's paying his child support, whatever the order was. You have a conversation with him. Is it on the phone or in person?
No, in person.
At your home?
Yes.
Okay. And tell me about the conversation. What did you say to him, and what did he say to you?
I don't remember the exact words, but...
Well, that's why we bring these things quickly, because now it's 2 years later.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was basically, well, he wants to play this sport, Angelina wants to do track, this is how much it's going to cost, and his response was just, okay, let me know how much it is, and I'll pay half.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's not quite correct. We don't have just conversation. We don't have any conversation at all. We communicate via text, and I rarely get a response. I've taken care of...
Just a second. We're talking about this one instance.
Okay.
She said that you had a conversation with her where you agreed to pay half of their sporting events. Based on that, I assume that you enrolled the children in the sporting events, paid the fee, and then said to him, this is your half. And he said, I'm not paying that half.
That's not correct, Your Honor. I didn't agree to pay half.
No, I'm not saying you agreed to pay half. That's what her position is.
I actually enrolled my son into soccer.
When?
It was this summer in July. And he was supposed to go for a month, and she took the kids out of the state without my knowledge for an extended vacation. And so I didn't have her pay half of that. And when she came back, she wanted to make that up to him. But that's without my knowledge.
Okay. How much did you pay for soccer?
$75.
So you never had a conversation with her about paying half of this? And it was never reduced to a modified order of the court because you have a court order for support. Okay. So I'm eliminating that. You want to change the order of support, you have to change it in court. Now let's move on to the second thing that you think that he owes you for. Cell phone. Let's hear about the cell phone.
He opened a cell phone account for my daughter.
When?
I don't know when it was.
When did you open a cell phone account, sir?
About 7 years ago.
And he paid it? He opened an account and he paid it?
Him or his dad. It was a business account.
I don't care.
I don't know
You
who
didn't
paid
pay
it. Correct. I didn't
You didn't pay it. So your daughter has had a cell phone for the last 7 years?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you didn't see the bills for it?
Correct.
Okay, so he paid it?
Somebody paid it, yes. Yeah.
He paid it?
I paid it, Your Honor.
You didn't pay it?
Correct.
Okay. So now you want money for a cell phone. For what?
Just for the last 6 months that I paid. I never agreed to, so I'm just asking for
Then
half
take
of
the
that.
phone away.
Well, she's 15. She's got
I
a
understand
job
that.
and
I understand that. Who bought her the phone?
I bought the phone.
Okay. And how many years ago did you buy the phone?
It was about 1.5 years ago.
Okay, and it's paid for on his plan?
No, I paid for the phone cash.
No. The bills, ongoing bills, were paid for by him and the phone that you bought her a year and a half ago, because you said you've been paying the bills for 6 months.
Yep.
Is that correct? Whitney, didn't you say I've been paying the bills for the last 6 months?
Yes. Correct.
Well, so when you first got the phone for a year, he was paying the bills.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
Well, he was paying the bills for 7 years, but certainly after you bought the phone. But prior to that, she had a different phone. She had to have had a different phone because he was paying the phone bills for 6 years. Who bought that phone?
I don't know.
Your Honor, I purchased that phone. It was the iPhone XR.
Okay. So you bought the first phone, you bought a second phone. Very nice. And he paid the bills, the phone bills for 6 years, and you paid it for the last 6 months. It's not part of a court order. If you agree to do that, you agree to do that. What are you getting courts involved for?
I never agreed to pay the cell phone.
Well, he never agreed to pay his cell phone when she was 13 or 12. Your parents. He paid it for a long time. Now you're paying it. What do you do for a living, sir?
I'm a realtor.
You work in a family business?
Absolutely.
Tell me about the family business.
It's children first and foremost. You know what's best for them.
No. The family business, sir.
Oh, the family business.
You're in real estate. Is it a family business?
It is not a family business.
It's just yours. And you've been in real estate for how long?
For about 3 years now. And prior to that, I was in sales. That is a family business, and it's real estate marketing.
That's a family business.
That's family business.
You're not involved with that anymore. You still are.
Yes.
Who owns that business?
Dad.
Your father?
He does, yes.
How many employees do you have?
Just about 10, Your Honor.
So your father employs 10 people and you're one of them?
That's correct, Your Honor.
And what does your father pay you annually?
Oh, it's commission only, so no benefits.
And in the other real estate operation, do you have your own office or do you operate out of your father's office?
My own office.
Where?
In Maple Grove, Minnesota.
Do you have any employees?
I don't.
So you work for your father on commission and yourself?
Commission only as well in the real estate market.
Okay. Did you file tax returns last year?
No, I did not.
Is there any reason for that?
Just late. Just over.
You're late. You're a year late.
Yeah.
What about the year before? Did you file tax returns?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did, Your Honor.
And how much did you declare as income the year before last?
It's like 55, I think. 55,000, yep.
Okay, so phone bill, I've taken care of the phone bill. You paid it for her, fine. And if you don't want to pay it anymore, let her get an after-school job and pay for her own phone. Now, the next thing that you're suing for is, according to your complaint, you had a car that you weren't using. Mr. Vasquez has a father who wanted a car. It is your claim that Mr. Vasquez, without your permission, sold the car, your car, to his father for $700, and you didn't get any of that money.
Correct.
Mr. Vasquez says his father was going to buy the car. He drove it. He didn't want to buy it because it had issues, and it's sitting in his father's driveway waiting for you to come and get it, and that he never got $700 from his father for the car. That's his position, correct?
No, there's a correction. I did get $700 and paid him back the next day because the car broke down within a day.
Because what?
It broke down within a day.
Okay, so you did sell it to him?
Yes. We were in the middle of the transaction. He paid for the car at the office, which is about 10 miles away from home. And while driving the car home, it broke down. So we hadn't received the title or anything, so I returned the money.
Okay, you planned a trip to Portugal in August of 2022.
That's correct.
Airplane tickets. Where'd you get the money for all that?
Desiree Surratt has accused her ex-boyfriend, Curtis Vasquez, of selling her car without her permission. Curtis claims he refunded the money, and she can take the car back.
Okay, so you did sell it to him?
Yes. We were in the middle of the transaction. He paid for the car at the office, which is about 10 miles away from home. And while driving the car home, it broke down. So we hadn't received the title or anything, so I returned the money.
Is the car still titled in your name?
Yes.
So go get it.
I don't want the car, no.
Well, it's your car. It's titled in your name.
Yes, but apparently I have text messages showing He sold the car without my permission.
Whether he did or not, well, he can't sell the car because title never transferred.
Right.
And he's saying, you can go and get the car. It's sitting in the driveway. His father doesn't want it. Title didn't transfer. He didn't get money for the car and keep it. It was a sort of silly transaction because what you are suggesting is he should have said to his father, that's it, it was sold, it's sold as is. You can't have your $700 back.
Right, and my understanding is that his dad, through a conversation that I had with his dad did not get the money back.
You can't tell me about the conversation. If you have text messages between them, I would like to see them.
I do, yes. So there's those text messages. And I also have several text messages where Curtis agrees to pay me the money and also telling me the car ran.
Desiree. Curtis said you would take possession of the Kia, but I asked about the title. Big Curtis, is that your father?
Your Honor, yes, it is.
Okie dokie. Mr. Vasquez, your father says that he gave you the money.
That's correct.
And that it certainly wasn't a day, because 2 weeks later, he writes back, sorry, not good at checking my text. If we could arrange for me to get the title while you were here, that would be awesome. That's 2 weeks later. Your father didn't say to her, he gave me the money back. He said, I want the title. That's 2 weeks later. So the story you just gave me was a whole lot of who shot John.
Well, Your Honor, there's one thing that we need to clear up right away is that it was never sold without her knowledge.
Just a second. Now what I'm asking you, sir, I'm saying that your original story to me was that I sold my father the car with her agreement. That's what you say here, for $700. He gave me the $700, but am I correct, Whitney, that the car broke down the next day?
He said the car broke down within a day.
Within a day, and so you gave him his money back. Well, that's not what your father says here, sir. That's not what your father says here.
I went back and forth with him for days, but I gave him his money back.
No. What you told me was a lie. You told me it broke down the day you gave him his money back. The initial conversation she had was May 9th. And then May 16th, she's having a conversation with Big Curtis. That's your father. Mm-hmm. Sorry for not checking my texts. Can you get me the title? Which means 2 weeks later, he wanted the title. And then your father says about you, Curtis owes me big time money. And I can't get money from him either. That's your father.
Yeah, that's correct, Your Honor.
Big Curtis says to her, can you tell me what problem does Curtis have that caused him to spend massive amounts of money in such a short period of time? She answers, drugs, alcohol, gambling, he's a functional addict. He even got around $40,000 and he blew every penny. So the $700 you gave him for the car, I'm just going to file a small claims. For whatever reason, he's refusing to give it to me. It's not your fault that he stole the money from me. Just FYI, I have no issue giving you the title. Okay. So far, he owes you $700 for the car. And then we're finished. Get Big Curtis the title. Mail it to him. He sends you his address.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Great. Now you have a counterclaim, Mr. Vasquez.
Yes, Your Honor. I have some evidence I'd like to present.
Don't give me all that nonsense. You say that the plaintiff canceled a vacation trip. You made plane arrangements to take your children somewhere, and she took the children out of state. And car repairs that you gave her money for, car repairs, $250. I helped her repair her car and spent $250 on parts. When was that?
That was the car in question that we were just talking about.
Okay, you planned a trip to Portugal in August of 2022.
That's correct.
Airplane tickets. Where'd you get the money for all that?
My parents helped me with the purchase of the kids' tickets.
Why?
Because I couldn't afford all of them.
Who was going on the trip?
It was going to be my wife, myself, and 2 kids.
Did you go on the vacation to Portugal with your wife?
No, we did not make it.
You did not make it?
Correct. Why? Because she is responsible of...
No. Not her. Not with your 2 kids. Did you go with your wife?
No, I didn't.
Why?
I didn't want to go without the kids. It was the whole purpose was to bring the kids to see the grandparents.
Does your wife work?
Yes.
What kind of work does she do?
She's a bartender.
Mm-hmm. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $700. Don't make any more private agreements with him, madam. I think it's a big mistake. We're done. Your counterclaim's dismissed. We're
Your
finished.
Honor.
Thank you.
We're finished.
I had one more.
I just ruled that your counterclaim is dismissed.
Your Honor.
You're finished.
I'm a little disappointed that I didn't get everything that I felt that I was owed.
Well, a bit disappointed. I felt like I had a lot more coming my way.
Number one, I will not do him any favors.
I've taken care of my kids financially for the last 7 years.
Especially of monetary value.
She feels entitled to 6 months, so be it, but I didn't agree to it.
I hope that this is kind of a wake-up call to him.
It's completely ridiculous. I'm just tired of having my name dragged through the mud.
To do honest business, whether it's in personal relationship or business.
I take care of my kids.
He's got a long history of owing money, not paying it back.
Always have, and always will, regardless.
He runs through family and friends and dry your pocketbooks and laugh out the door. He doesn't care.
Claim money for a cell phone that, I bought. And, I think this is all to do with spite.
Just my kids. At the end of the day, whatever's best for them.
I just want to be there for the kids, and I just want to be done with the drama.
I have very little to say about that case, very little thoughts, except that Big Curtis, the defendant's father, doesn't like him.
I didn't get to read the messages, but
clearly, he said, what is he doing with all the money? My initial reading of that case was, maybe she's being unreasonable. She's really not being unreasonable.
Yeah.
I have a feeling there's not a lot more to little Curtis than we were able to see today.
Larissa Quella Ehlers is suing business owners Ernie and Sonia Gallego for a refund on custom T-shirts.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 2014, Quella Ehlers versus Gallegos.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Your last name is Ehlers?
Ehlers.
Ehlers.
Yes.
You have a son.
I do.
And he plays a sport.
He does.
What kind of a sport does he play?
He is in asphalt racing.
Is he on a team?
We have our own team. It's called Lionheart Racing.
And how many people are on the team?
He is the sole driver, but we have a pit crew of approximately 8.
And he doesn't wear a uniform. When he
wears
drives.
a race suit, yes.
He wears a race suit.
Correct.
So the T-shirts that you ordered from the defendant were for the 8 and crew.
It was to sell. My son has a congenital heart defect, and he was treated when he was very young at Chalk Hospital. So we sell shirts to donate the proceeds to Chalk Hospital.
To whom?
We sell shirts to fans, to the pit crew, to family, friends.
Well, pit crew is only 8 people. I assume you give them a shirt.
We do.
Yeah, of course. So the other ones you sell, if you could sell. How many years have you been selling these shirts?
2 years.
And last year, who made the T-shirts for you?
A place called Rush Order Tees.
Would you look that up, please?
Sure. It's an online T-shirt ordering.
And when they came last year, how many did you order?
We ordered 200 last year.
How many did you sell?
We sold all of them.
And how much were they? A piece?
They were $25 a piece.
To make?
To make 13, I believe.
So you were able to give a lot of money that year to your favorite charity.
Correct.
Why didn't you go back to Rush Order Tees this year?
Sonia, the defendant.
No, I'm asking you, were satisfied with your product?
I was. And I was actually in the process of getting ready to place a new order when I received a call at my office asking if I would be interested in placing an order with their company that was a local company.
And who did you get that call from?
Sonia.
That's you.
Yes.
How did you get the plaintiff's number?
I was making calls to local businesses listed as members of the Placentia City Chamber of Commerce. Her place of business, Impact Properties, came up as a member, and I made a call, and she was the one that answered the phone.
And what did you say to her?
I introduced myself, and I let her know that we are a screen printing business here in Placentia, and I was reaching out to local businesses to see if they would be interested in ordering custom T-shirts, and if not, at least to let them know that we offer those services for future reference.
How much did you quote her per T-shirt?
So she ordered a few different garments.
Just tell me what you quoted her.
$14 per T-shirt.
That's $1 more than you had paid last year.
Correct.
Had you gotten a quote from Rush Order for this year?
Not yet.
Well, that would cut into your profit by about $200.
Except that I didn't have to pay shipping.
Rush Order is a large online reputable business for screen printing, bags, cups, shirts, things like that.
And you were happy with them last year?
Yes.
On what date did you place an order with the defendant's company for these T-shirts?
March 30th.
Do you have a written agreement?
I do.
May I see it, please?
I would like to note that the $14 quote was for 90 T-shirts, not 200. So that does.
I just want to see what the contract says.
Okay.
Yes, $14 was for 90. That was for short sleeved. Long sleeve printed was $16 plus tax. There's a setup fee, redraw artwork, extra large sizes. Well, this is not a signed agreement. However, the last sentence reads, by submitting your payment, you agree to these terms and conditions, and you are verifying that all the information on the invoice is correct. You submitted payment.
I do have proof of payment, yes.
They don't dispute that you actually paid them because you had to pay them in advance.
Correct.
Okay, so this is a clear contract. And it's your claim that you were dissatisfied with the artwork, you had paid already, you want a refund, you did not use their T-shirts.
Correct.
And I believe you actually canceled or tried to reverse the credit card that you had used.
I tried to get a refund through PayPal, correct.
And according to you, that was denied because the defendant said that you had actually picked up the T-shirts.
Correct.
Okay.
And I have proof of that from PayPal.
I'd like to see that.
The incorrect logo was used.
Okay. Before I get into the substantive part of it, whether or not you like the artwork or not, who was contacted by PayPal? Which one of you?
That would be, he handled the PayPal claim.
I took care of PayPal.
You took the call from PayPal?
Yes.
When you had communication with PayPal, do you have any proof, written proof of your communication, or did you just speak to PayPal verbally on the phone?
Both. We talked on the phone, and we also, PayPal documents our conversations via email through the website.
Did you tell PayPal that the plaintiff had picked up the merchandise?
Yes.
Well, that's not true.
It is true. She picked up the merchandise.
No. I don't believe that, sir. I believe she was dissatisfied with the merchandise. But unless you can prove to me that she picked up the merchandise, I don't believe that. Okay. Because she may be a tough cookie, and she may have gotten crazed with you and said miserable things about you in her review, but she would not be here today if she picked up the merchandise.
Her event was the next day. The day she picked them up, it was the day before her event.
Who gave it to her?
We gave it to her.
Not we. No, not we. Who gave it to her?
I gave it to her?
You're asking me a question, sir. You're asking me a question.
Her order was...
Just a second. Mm-hmm. You have a business?
Yes.
You're in a building. Is there a reception area in the building?
Yes.
Did you tell PayPal that they were picked up from the reception area in the building?
I don't recall.
I want you to think about it. Mm-hmm. I want you to think about it. Did you tell PayPal that they were picked up in a reception area in your building?
I don't recall if I said the reception area or my office. I'm not sure the terminology I used.
Well, what was it, reception area or your office?
My office is
that's a question.
Area. My reception area is in my office. I don't recall exactly what I told PayPal, but she did pick them up that day, and that's what I told PayPal.
No, I don't believe you.
Okay. That's what we're here for.
No, that's what we're here for, because sizing her up, she's a tough cookie.
Yes.
And she, as I said, might have been dissatisfied with the logo, which I don't necessarily have to even go into now. What the screen was like, what the colors were off, or whatever it was, I don't have to go into that. Because if I believe that she did not pick up the merchandise, and you told PayPal that she did pick up the merchandise, she gets her refund back. Now, so I'm going to come back to you. You didn't like the way they looked.
Correct.
I don't care why. Did you have other shirts made?
I did. I have one of them here today.
Do you have an invoice for the other shirts? Who did you have them made by?
Rush Order Tees.
That's easy. When did you have them made by Rush Order Tees?
I had them made in May.
Well, that's about 30 days later. Mm-hmm. And did you sell them?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Pull up an order from your phone for Rush Order Tees, please. Mm-hmm. While you're looking at it, just tell me, how much did you pay for them from Rush Order Tees, and how many did you order?
It was just slightly over $2,000. I believe we ordered 110 T-shirts.
Okay. And you got them sometime in May?
Correct. I'm sorry, that was April 26th was the exact date.
May I see it, please?
There's my order.
It was 1828.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
Okay, so, Mr. and Mrs. Gallagher, She ordered the T-shirts within a couple of weeks and got them from another company, which suggests to me that if she picked up your T-shirts, she would not have done that. Do you understand?
I don't.
Do you
agree with
understand?
that. No, I don't. Because
Well,
if she ordered 200,
you may not like it, but ladies may be to you abrasive, because that's what you say in here. She may be abrasive, but she would not ask for a refund through PayPal if she had picked up. If she had picked up the merchandise, she would not have done that.
the previous year she ordered 200, and this year she ordered 100 from me, 100 from them, which same is consistent, 200 shirts.
I can answer to that if you'd like.
She picked them up.
No, she didn't. No, she didn't.
We ordered a smaller quantity this year because many of our friends had already purchased them the previous year.
Whatever. I don't believe that you picked them up. I believe that you got angry because they weren't exactly what you wanted. You looked at them, but there's no question that it was an easy answer for him to give when PayPal called and said she picked them up from the reception area. Okay, and I don't believe that. So you have to get your refund back because you were dissatisfied and because you lied. There was an incident between the plaintiff and your husband, and you came in. Did you say something to her?
Yeah, I did.
Don't.
I didn't want to talk to her.
No.
Larissa Kuala-Ehlers claims business owners Ernie and Sonia Gallego owe for a refund on custom T-shirts. Ernie and Sonia are countersuing for defamation.
But that doesn't justify.
What?
We did do all the work. The printing is the very last part of the order. We did the graphic work. We printed samples. We went above and beyond to try to make her happy, and she was completely unreasonable. There was
listen, I said to you,
Yeah.
she may be a completely unreasonable customer.
Right.
That's possible. Fortunately, I don't have to go into that because the reason your husband gave PayPal for not giving her a refund was because she took the merchandise. And I don't believe that. I believe she may have been, in your eyes, a totally unreasonable customer. And if your husband had said to PayPal, we were ready, willing, and able. We fulfilled our contract to the letter, and we could just not satisfy this lady. The merchandise is here, ready to be picked up. It was always ready to be picked up. He didn't. He told them she got it, and that was not true. And that, Miss Gallego, is why she gets her refund back.
Her event was the day before. We were on a crucial deadline. We have our employees working overtime, getting her job done. We have receipts of all the items that were printed, that were ordered. She came in the day before her event, picked up what we had completed. I had completed approximately 72 shirts. She took one box out of 2 that day. She was going to come back for the rest. She left with what she had for her event. She even posted pictures on social media of our shirts.
Oh, that I would like to see. Did you pick up any boxes from him?
I picked up no boxes. And the event that he's referring to, my son has a race on the second Saturday of every month. I had asked for those shirts to be ready by his April race, but because they were not, I didn't have shirts for him until the March race. Every shirt that you see in my social media or my son's social media is the shirts that we purchased from Rush Order Tees.
I'd like to see.
This is our sample picture.
No, I want to see what...
Oh, here.
Is that one of the shirts that you prepared for
This
her?
is on her social media account. And then this is also just the graphic work that we did on her social media page.
Which social media account?
I'll find out.
We know that's our shirts because I did the graphic design work. All the logos she gave me were like different colors. They were full color. They had black backgrounds. I revised, redrew everything, and converted them all to white.
Just 1 second.
I did the graphic work, and they're all in PNG form, so all you have to do is change them
If
to
she
white.
did the graphic work, then why would she pay us to do the graphic work?
And I have an email printout of the graphic she submitted to us. Is not print ready.
Oh, I don't care about that. I'm not getting into those weeds.
I have copies of all of the JPEGs.
According to you,
yes.
I'm going to go back. He said that there were 2 boxes ready.
There were 2 boxes ready.
There's 2 boxes ready, but that wasn't all the shirts.
There was
2 boxes. The 2 boxes were not all the shirts. How many shirts were in a box?
72.
So what you're telling me is that she picked up 72 shirts.
Yes.
Okay. Go back and tell me. Just refresh my recollection as to what he said about the 2 boxes of shirts. Well, we had 2 boxes of shirts ready.
I didn't pick up a thing. They wouldn't even let me take a sample.
She took 1 box out of 2 that day. She was going to come back for the rest.
Were there only 2 boxes, or were there more than 2 boxes?
2 boxes.
Did you tell PayPal that she did not take half of the merchandise?
I told PayPal that we filled 72 pieces when I talked to him on the phone.
That's not what PayPal said to her, sir. That's not what PayPal said.
I'm not sure what PayPal said to her.
PayPal said that the merchandise was delivered to you.
Exactly
and you did not
what?
return. And it was not returned. But that's not true.
Exactly what I'm testifying here is what I told PayPal.
Well, then why wouldn't PayPal say to her, look, we don't know what the dispute is all about, color and everything else, but you're entitled to half your deposit back if you told her you only delivered half the merchandise.
The thing is, 100% of the shirts, there's 3 locations, a front, back, and a sleeve.
Listen.
We have everything's 100%, the sleeves are done. The 72 were printed 100%. We just had 29 shirts remaining, 28 shirts remaining.
I don't believe you, Mr. Gallagher. She gets her deposit back. Now we're going to get to your counterclaim. Counterclaim is for $5,000 for defamation. So I'd like to see how she defamed you.
So Larissa posted a negative review on Yelp, which
she's allowed to do.
She's allowed to. However, she's not allowed to say that my husband lunged at her and was aggressive. That's a...
I'd like to see it. And then I'll ask her about it.
And I've also included other reviews from other businesses that she's dealt with where it has the same MO. I spoke to another business owner.
Did Miss Gallagher call you on your cell phone the day afterwards to apologize for her husband's behavior?
She called me that afternoon.
On your cell phone?
I believe it was on my cell phone, yes.
And this happened on April 26th of 2022?
It happened on
No.
April 8th.
Okay, so that would be in your phone log.
Should be, if I still have it.
While she's looking, Miss Gallagher, after this incident, when she came in and had this acrimonious discussion with your husband, which is evidenced in this review, did you call Miss Ehlers? Did you call her?
I did call her.
Okay,
Yes, I did.
and that because that she can prove that you called her.
Yes.
Now, after this screaming match that she had with your husband, where she left your premises,
It wasn't
she
a
said,
screaming
just,
match.
she said that you came down for whatever reason. I'm just asking you things that can be proven.
Right.
What can be proven is after she stormed out that day, you called her the next day. I want to know what you're claiming you said to her the next day.
I gave her a call to smooth the situation over.
Just tell me what you said to her the next day. Hello, it's me from $5 school teas. It's Sonia.
Okay.
What did you say to her? Be careful.
I don't remember word for word, but what I do remember saying is that I apologize for how everything played out.
Okay. Okay, because there was an incident between the plaintiff and your husband.
Yes.
And you came in. Did you say something to her?
Yeah, I did.
Don't.
I didn't want to talk to her.
No. I think you got into a screaming match with her, and I think that your wife intervened that day, which is why she called her the next day to try to smooth things over. This is not a tea dance. This is not a tea dance.
Larissa Kuala-Ehlers is accusing business owners Ernie and Sonia Gallego of ruining her custom T-shirt order. Ernie and Sonia say Larissa left a negative review and defamed them.
Okay, you came in the middle of the dispute.
Yes.
And in the middle of the dispute, to try to calm things down.
Yes.
Because she was screaming at him.
Yes.
And he was screaming at her.
No.
What was he saying to her? She was screaming at him, and what was he doing? Now, just remember, you called her the next day.
I did.
To apologize to her.
Not to her. I called to apologize for the entire situation from beginning to end.
But if what you're telling me is that the only one who was behaving badly was the plaintiff, that's what you're telling me. The only one that was behaving badly was the plaintiff.
She was out of line.
There's no question. There's no question. Actually, she acknowledges in this review.
But that's not the worst part of it.
She acknowledges in this review that she was out of line in screaming.
Yes.
And that's what you came into.
Yes.
So the only thing that you're disputing is that your husband was likewise screaming at her, answered her back.
He was not screaming. He was patient, and he was attempting to work it out with her. The only thing I remember him saying, and I can recall, is him saying, I'm trying to help you. I don't understand why you're acting this way. And I do recall him telling her that she was a bad person because she was...
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, a person can only take so much.
I'm telling you, she says this.
Yes.
In her review. Okay. Now, you want me to look at other reviews that she wrote for a carpet company in 2021.
Yes, and I spoke to the owner.
Shh. Okay, first she complained about a carpet company and the horrible service. They laughed at her and disrespected her. Okay. And then, that was in 2021. That was a year before. Then she posted a review, according to the timeline, in 2015. So 6 years before.
It shows a pattern.
No, a pattern.
Yeah,
a pattern. Three complaints.
No.
3 complaints from somebody who lives a life in 6 years.
I have a copy of all of the
Just a
5-star reviews.
Okay, and this one said the owner wasn't interested in hearing her complaints. It was over the phone and hung up. That's 2015. Okay, she takes her reviews seriously. Now, you want to show me other reviews?
These are all of the 5-star reviews that I've done as well. Yeah. I'm an equal opportunity Yelper.
Just a second. Would you just show this to the plaintiff and make sure she agrees that those are hers, and then I'm going to have you show this to the defendants. Okay. Now show this to Ms. Gallego. All you have to do is look at them quickly.
Yeah.
Well, no, just a second.
Yeah.
You didn't look at them.
Oh, I was reading. Okay.
You don't have to read the whole thing. These are 5-star reviews.
Yes.
Count how many she did.
Yes, I see that there's a good...
So she takes her reviews seriously. It's not a pattern.
Right, but she's aggressive in everyone. Like I mentioned...
No, not aggressive in here.
Well, not in those.
Not
in the negative
here.
ones, yes.
Not in here, and 2 of the ones that you gave me were over the phone. If I told you how many times my husband hangs up on people over the phone aggressively...
I understand,
Yeah.
but name-calling and belittling people and calling him...
Retarded,
stupid.
Just a second. All unladylike.
She attacked my faith.
Oh, listen to me. That's not what you're talking about, Mr. Gallego. You're talking about a lawsuit for defamation, that she posted something that was false on the internet. And I'm telling you it wasn't false because I think you got into a screaming match with her, and I think that your wife intervened that day, which is why she called her the next day to try to smooth things over. This is not a tea dance. This is not a tea dance. You understand? This is not a tea dance. I believe that she did not pick up her shirts. I believe that that's why your wife called her to try to smooth out that, as well as what had happened the day before. She behaved badly.
You're allowing a tyrant to get away with this.
I'm allowing a tyrant to get away with this?
She completely bashed us. She's lying. She picked up her order.
No, I don't believe that.
Your Honor, my reputation, I work with students, I work with T-shirts, moms. My reputation, I don't advertise.
Just a second.
It's all word of mouth.
She did not pick up her order, sir, even according to you. According to you, she only picked up a partial order. She picked up 1 box. That's according to you. That's not what PayPal.
72 out of 100.
No, I don't. Listen to me. So what you're saying is there were 2 boxes, not in half. The orders were not in half. You filled up 1 box and only there was a little bit of merchandise left in the second
come back
box.
for, yes.
Yeah, I don't believe you, sir.
Because
she gets her refund. She gets her refund. $16.93.
What about all
Judgment for
the
the
work that
plaintiff. Counterclaims dismissed. We are done here.
This court is adjourned.
She completely dismissed the way she treated us.
She absolutely made the right decision.
I've never dealt with a customer like this in my 25-year history. I went well above and beyond.
They're angry with me because I didn't like their work product.
Our work speaks for itself. Our history speaks for itself. We have clients that have been with us for years, and we'll just continue doing what we're doing.
You always get what you pay for. Make sure you're looking out for where you're doing business.
I really believe that she got aggressive with him when she went to pick up those T-shirts. She acknowledges she got aggressive with him. She says in her Yelp review, sorry to say that she became angry and agitated and started screaming at him, which he doesn't have to tolerate. I do believe that his wife intervened, as she said in her Yelp review, that his wife came in saying to his wife, I'm talking to her, not to you. I can
Really heated moment.
I can actually see
Visualize
him.
it.
I can actually visualize him saying that. The problem is you have to make a judgment. And the judgment really was whether somebody who was aggressive, and she was, who knows her business, knows what she wants, runs a business, had ordered the shirts before, had ordered them for somebody else, was satisfied with the previous order because there was no negative review that they showed from that order. She may have been dissatisfied. She may have had just cause to be dissatisfied. But he lied when she said she picked up the shirts.
Just to prevent her from getting a refund.
From getting her refund. So I didn't believe that, because I don't think that that woman would have been here if she had picked up the shirts. She would have been here. She would have said, I want a refund because here are the shirts. It's not what I ordered.
Exactly. If it doesn't make sense.